What if Naruto was ultra-divine sage, God who surpassed all angels? Android 18X Vados Chapter 1, Worlds Collide. Naruto sat cross-legged atop the highest peak in existence, a place beyond mortal comprehension where the fabric of reality thinned to a translucent veil. His eyes, no longer the cerulean blue of his youth but swirling galaxies of gold and purple, remained closed as he breathed in the cosmic energy that flowed through the multiverse. "Something's wrong," he muttered, his voice carrying the weight of eons despite his youthful appearance. The whisker marks on his cheeks deepened as he frowned. "The balance is shifting." He stood in one fluid motion, his white and orange sage robes billowing around him despite the absence of wind. Gone were the days of shouting, "Believe it," and chasing after acknowledgement. The boisterous ninja had become something far beyond what any of his friends could have imagined, the ultra-divine sage, a being who had transcended even the gods themselves. Naruto extended his hand, and reality rippled. The space before him tore open, revealing swirling cosmic energies and pathways between dimensions that only his eyes could properly perceive. "Kurama, you feel that?" he asked, though the Nine Tails had long since become an inseparable part of him rather than a separate entity. A rumbling growl echoed from within. "It seems someone's playing with forces they shouldn't be touching, kid." Naruto grinned. Some things never changed, even after becoming a transdimensional deity, Kurama still called him kid. "Guess we better check it out," he said, stepping forward into the swirling vortex. "Been too quiet around here anyway." The cosmic pathway stretched before him, branching into countless realities. Most glowed with healthy vibrance, but one pulsed with sickly darkness, a universe where the energy felt distinctly different from chakra. Not better or worse, just different. Ki, they called it there. Naruto followed the disturbance, surfing the dimensional currents with practiced ease until he burst through the barriers between worlds. Android 18 was having a perfectly normal Thursday, which meant something had to go wrong. "Krillin, I'm picking up energy readings that don't make sense," she said, her blonde hair whipping around her face as she hovered above West City. Her cybernetically enhanced senses detected anomalies that ordinary fighters would miss. Her husband's voice crackled through the communicator. "What kind of readings?" "Not key-based." "Want me to call Goku?" 18 scoffed. "And have him instant transmission here with that stupid excited look on his face?" "No thanks. I'll check it out myself." She cut the connection before Krillin could protest, then accelerated toward the energy disturbance. After years of peace following the Tournament of Power, she'd grown restless. Domestic bliss was nice, but part of her missed the days when she had purpose, even if that purpose had once been, kill Son Goku. The disturbance led her to a remote plateau where the air itself seemed to shimmer and distort. As 18 landed, her sensors went haywire, detecting energy levels that shouldn't be possible without setting off every alarm in the universe. "What the hell?" she muttered, taking a defensive stance as the space before her began to tear. The rift expanded, golden energy spilling out before a figure stepped through, a young man with spiky blonde hair and strange facial markings. His white and orange robes fluttered as the dimensional gateway closed behind him. 18's combat protocols activated instantly, assessing threat levels and plotting attack vectors. This being's power made Jiren look like a child. "Who are you?" she demanded, gathering ki in her palm. "What are you doing on Earth?" The stranger's eyes opened fully, revealing impossible depths that made 18 momentarily dizzy. He smiled, a disarmingly genuine expression that seemed at odds with his overwhelming presence. "I'm Naruto Uzumaki," he said, his tone casual as if he hadn't just torn through reality. "And I'm tracking something dangerous that's leaking into your universe." 18 maintained her battle stance. "Another cosmic threat? Great. We just finished dealing with the last universe-ending catastrophe." Naruto tilted his head, studying her with curious eyes. "You're different from the others here. Your energy has been modified." "Brilliant observation," 18 replied dryly. "I'm an android." Now explain what you're talking about before I blast you back to whatever dimension you came from. Before Naruto could answer, another distortion ripped through the air beside them, this one smooth and controlled, forming a perfect staff-shaped portal. From it emerged a tall, slender cyan-skinned woman with an elaborate white hairstyle and angelic attire. My, said the newcomer, her voice melodious yet formal. I didn't expect to find two anomalies at once. How efficient. 18 groaned. Vados. Let me guess, Kampa sent you to stick your nose in Universe 7's business again. Vados smiled, twirling her staff. Actually, Lord Kampa remains blissfully unaware. I detected a breach in the dimensional barriers, something beyond even the Grand Priest's jurisdiction. Her eyes shifted to Naruto. You are, quite the curiosity. Naruto scratched the back of his head, a gesture from his youth that persisted despite his godhood. Yeah, I get that a lot. Look, there's something bad coming. I tracked it here, but, the ground beneath them shuddered violently. The sky darkened as if the sun itself feared what was approaching. In the distance, a pillar of black energy erupted from the earth. But I might be too late, Naruto finished, his expression hardening. Vados' normally composed face showed genuine concern. That energy, it's nothing I've encountered in all my millennia of existence. It's void energy, Naruto explained, already moving. Anti-creation. I've dealt with it before, but never this potent. 18 hesitated for only a moment before following. Whatever her suspicions about this stranger, the immediate threat took priority. If this ruins my daughter's piano recital on Sunday, I'm holding you personally responsible. The pillar of darkness had consumed half a mountain by the time they arrived. From its depths emerged creatures of living shadow, humanoid figures with empty eye sockets that leaked black ichor. Each step they took withered the grass beneath their feet. Harbingers, Naruto said grimly. They corrupt life energy and prepare worlds for their master's arrival. And who exactly is their master? 18 asked, already charging energy between her palms. A being called Kale. He believes existence itself is a mistake that needs correcting. Vados raised an eyebrow. A nihilistic entity with cosmic powers. How original. The Harbingers noticed their presence, empty eye sockets turning toward them before the creatures let out a sound between a scream and static. Dozens more poured from the pillar, surrounding them in a circle of writhing darkness. They're drawn to powerful life energy, Naruto warned. And between the three of us, we're basically a buffet. 18 smirked. Good thing I'm partially synthetic then. Without waiting for a response, she launched forward, her fist connecting with the nearest harbinger. The creature shattered like glass, only to reform seconds later. Damn it. Vados sighed elegantly. Brute force won't work on entities of pure void energy. Observe. She twirled her staff, creating a spiral of divine light that encircled a harbinger. The creature shrieked as it dissolved, but unlike with 18's attack, it didn't regenerate. Angelic energy, Naruto nodded approvingly. Similar to my six paths sage chakra. He formed a hand sign, and golden markings spread across his skin. Let me show you how we handle things in my universe. He moved in a blur, faster than even 18's enhanced vision could track. Where he passed, harbingers didn't just dissolve, they purified, turning to motes of golden light before disappearing completely. Not to be outdone, 18 analyzed her previous failure and adjusted. If physical attacks don't work. She concentrated, focusing her ki into a more refined form. When she next struck, her hands glowed with concentrated life energy, and the harbinger she hit stayed down. The three fighters moved through the horde with devastating efficiency. 18's precision and tactical mind complemented Vados' elegant, almost dance-like combat style. Naruto fought with controlled chaos, unpredictable yet purposeful. As they battled back-to-back, something unexpected happened. Where their energies overlapped, Naruto's divine chakra, 18's modified ki, and Vados' angelic power, the harbingers didn't just dissolve but seemed unable to form in the first place. Our energies are resonating, Vados noted with surprise. Creating a frequency that neutralizes the void. Naruto grinned. Then let's amplify it. He grabbed both women by the shoulder, channeling his chakra through them. The contact sent a jolt through 18 that had nothing to do with electricity, a warm, vibrant energy unlike anything she'd experienced. Beside her, even Vados looked momentarily startled. Focus your energy with mine, Naruto instructed. Don't fight the resonance, enhance it. 18 hesitated only briefly before syncing her ki output with his chakra flow. Vados did the same with her angelic energy. The result was immediate and spectacular, a dome of tricolored light expanded outward, dissolving harbingers by the dozens. The pillar of darkness wavered, then collapsed in on itself with an unearthly howl. For a moment, silence fell across the battlefield. Did we win? 18 asked, breathing harder than usual. Naruto shook his head. We closed one doorway. But whatever's coming will find another. Vados studied him with newfound interest. You've encountered this entity before? Not directly. Kale exists between dimensions, in the void that separates realities. He's been trying to break through for eons. Naruto's expression darkened. In my universe, we sealed the breaches with help from the Sage of Six Paths and the combined efforts of all 5 great nations. Well, we don't have your 6 paths whatever here, 18 pointed out, but we do have gods of destruction, supreme kais, and fighters strong enough to shake universes. It won't be enough, Naruto said quietly. Kale doesn't exist within the hierarchy of any universe. He predates creation itself. Vados tapped her staff thoughtfully against the ground. Yet our combined energies affected his harbingers. That suggests a vulnerability. 18 crossed her arms. So what you're saying is that we 3 specifically need to work together. Exactly. Naruto looked between them. Something about our particular energies creates a harmonic that disrupts void energy. I've never seen anything like it. How convenient, 18 said dryly, though her tactical mind was already assessing the situation. And we're just supposed to trust that you're not part of the problem. Naruto met her gaze steadily. Trust has to start somewhere. But I get it, I'm a stranger who appeared out of nowhere with tales of cosmic doom. Indeed, Vados interjected. However, I can confirm that the dimensional breach was genuine, and these harbingers are unlike any life form catalogued in the angel archives. 18 sighed. Fine. But I'm keeping my eye on you, Whiskers. Naruto blinked at the nickname, then laughed, a surprisingly warm sound for a being of his power. Fair enough. Though I should warn you, where I'm from, they used to call me the most unpredictable ninja. Ninja? 18 raised an eyebrow. With that orange outfit? It's a long story, Naruto replied with a grin. Before they could continue, the ground trembled again. The sky above them cracked like glass, revealing glimpses of a swirling void beyond. He's noticed us, Naruto said grimly. Closing that portal got his attention. Vados pointed her staff upward. These cracks are appearing throughout Universe 7. Soon they'll spread to other universes. Then we need to move quickly, Naruto decided. I can track the largest breach and seal it, but I'll need your help. 18 activated her communicator. Krillin, tell Bulma to prepare the graviton stabilizer. And keep everyone else away from any spatial anomalies. She shut off the device before turning back to her new allies. Let's move. I have a bad feeling this is just the beginning. They flew across the planet, Naruto riding a platform of golden energy that kept pace with 18 and Vados effortlessly. As they traveled, the signs of Kale's influence became more apparent, patches of land where all color had been leached away, animals frozen in unnatural poses, and people staring blankly at the sky as if hypnotized. Life energy is being siphoned, Naruto explained as they passed over a particularly affected area. The harbingers prepare the way by creating zones of no reality. Can those people be saved? 18 asked, her thoughts turning to her family. If we stop this quickly enough, yes. The process isn't irreversible until the final stage. Vados, who had been uncharacteristically quiet, suddenly halted in midair. We have company. 3 figures rose from the landscape below, humans in appearance but moving with unnatural fluidity. Their eyes were completely black, and veins of darkness spread across their skin. Possessed, Naruto muttered. Kale can't fully manifest yet, so he's using proxies. The corrupted humans spoke in unison, their voices layered with static. Interloper. You cross boundaries not meant for your kind. 18 tensed, ready to attack, but Naruto held up a hand. They're talking to me, not you. He stepped forward on his energy platform. These dimensions are under my protection now, Kale. Retreat back to the void. The possessed humans laughed, a sound like breaking glass. Protection. You abandoned your own realm to play God in others. The Sage of Emptiness warned of your hubris. Naruto's expression flickered with something 18 couldn't quite identify, regret. Anger. It was gone so quickly she might have imagined it. The Sage of Emptiness is gone, Naruto replied firmly. And I didn't abandon anyone. My people are safe. For now. The possessed humans grinned with too many teeth. But the void touches all realities, Uzumaki. Even yours. Without warning, they attacked, moving far faster than ordinary humans should be capable of. One lunged for Naruto while the others targeted 18 and Vados. 18 blocked her attacker's strike but was surprised by the force behind it. These aren't ordinary possessions. They're being empowered. Vados elegantly sidestepped her opponent, tapping them with her staff. Indeed. The void energy is enhancing their physical capabilities while suppressing their consciousness. Naruto formed a familiar cross-shaped hand sign. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Instantly, 3 copies of himself appeared, engaging the possessed humans while the original continued speaking. Don't kill them. They're victims. Wasn't planning on it, 18 replied, shifting to defensive maneuvers. She redirected her attackers' momentum, using their own force against them. Vados created binding rings of light, attempting to restrain rather than harm her opponent. The corruption appears to be centered in their solar plexus. Perhaps if we disrupt the energy flow there. Naruto nodded. Good eye. In my world, we'd call that a chakra blockage. His clone delivered a precise strike to the possessed human's midsection. Like this. The person gasped as black energy erupted from their mouth, temporarily suspended in the air before dissipating. They collapsed, returning to normal. 18 and Vados quickly adapted the technique to their own fighting styles. Soon, all 3 possessed humans lay unconscious but purified. They'll recover, Naruto assured them, dispersing his clones. But there will be more. Kale won't stop with just 3 puppets. What exactly is his goal here? 18 asked, keeping her voice level despite her growing concern. Why this universe specifically? It's not just this universe, Vados interjected. I'm receiving reports from my siblings in other universes. Similar breaches are appearing across the multiverse. Naruto nodded grimly. The dimensional walls are thinner here than in my reality. My people spent generations reinforcing them against outside threats. Your multiverse is more permeable. Great, 18 muttered. So we're the cosmic equivalent of a sieve. The main breach is still growing, Naruto continued, looking toward the horizon where dark clouds gathered unnaturally. If we can seal it, the smaller ones should stabilize. And how exactly do we seal a breach in reality? 18 asked. Naruto's expression became serious. With a combination of energies that Kale can't corrupt. Divine chakra, angelic power, and your unique key. Vados tilted her head. You seem quite certain about Android 18's role in this. Why her specifically? This universe has many powerful beings. I wasn't certain until I saw us fight together, Naruto admitted. But there's something about her energy, partially artificial but with a human core. It creates a frequency that the void can't easily corrupt. 18 frowned, not entirely comfortable being discussed like a scientific anomaly. You're saying Dr. Gero accidentally created the perfect anti-void weapon when he modified me? In a way, yes. Naruto turned to her with unexpected intensity. Your energy exists in a state between natural and artificial, just like the boundaries we're trying to protect. Before 18 could respond, her communicator buzzed. Krillin's panicked voice came through, 18. Something's happening at Capsule Corp. Bulma says the readings are off the charts, and there's some kind of portal forming. 18's blood ran cold. Marin, is she safe? She's with me at Kame House. We're okay, but static interrupted the transmission. That's our destination, Naruto declared, already changing direction. The main breach is opening at this Capsule Corporation. 18 accelerated immediately, fear for her friends overriding any remaining suspicion of Naruto. Vados kept pace, her normally serene expression now serious. If Kale has targeted your scientific hub, the angel said, then he's more strategic than most cosmic entities. He's not just causing random destruction. He's targeting knowledge, Naruto agreed. In my world, he went after our scroll repositories first, trying to eliminate the information about how to seal him away. They flew faster, the landscape blurring beneath them. As Capsule Corporation came into view, they saw what had caused Krillin's panic. A massive tear in reality hovered above the main building, swirling with void energy and growing larger by the second. Scientists and workers fled the complex while security forces attempted to establish a perimeter. And standing on the roof, facing the breach with determined expressions, were Bulma, Vegeta, and Whis. Well, Vados commented dryly, this just became more complicated. About time you showed up, Vegeta growled as they landed on the roof. His eyes narrowed at Naruto. Who's the new guy? Someone who might actually know what's going on, 18 replied before turning to Bulma. Where's the graviton stabilizer? Bulma, looking remarkably composed despite the cosmic anomaly swirling above her home, pointed to a massive device being calibrated by her robot assistants. Almost ready, but it's not having much effect. This energy doesn't respond to normal physics. Whis nodded politely to his sister. Vados. How unexpected. Lord Kompa must be quite concerned to send you here. This situation transcends our usual jurisdictions, brother, Vados replied. Allow me to introduce Naruto Uzumaki, an ultra-divine sage from beyond our multiverse. Whis's eyebrows rose slightly, the angel equivalent of extreme shock. How fascinating. I wasn't aware such beings existed outside the Grand Priest's purview. Naruto, seemingly unimpressed by the gathering of cosmic beings and legendary warriors, focused on the breach. We don't have time for introductions. That portal is nearly stabilized. As if on cue, the swirling darkness above them pulsed, and a bone-white hand emerged from its center, fingers elongated to unnatural proportions, each tipped with a crystal-like talon. Too late, Naruto muttered, immediately flaring with golden energy. Everyone get back. He's sending an aspect through. The hand was followed by an arm, then a torso, a humanoid figure with paper-white skin stretched too tightly over an impossibly angular frame. Its face, when it finally emerged, was featureless except for a mouth that split its head nearly in half. Found you, it said, its voice somehow coming from everywhere at once. Vegeta, predictably, attacked immediately. Final flash. The beam of energy struck the entity directly, and passed through it as if it weren't there. The creature turned its eyeless face toward the Scion Prince. Physical laws are suggestions, not requirements. It moved, or rather, it was simply elsewhere without traversing the space between. One moment hovering above the breach, the next directly in front of Vegeta, its hand around his throat. Your power is impressive. Chaos and destruction given form. But ultimately, just another variation of energy. Whis moved to intervene, but the entity flicked its free hand, and the angel froze mid-step, not restrained, but somehow cut off from the flow of time itself. Celestial hierarchies are meaningless to the void. Let him go. Naruto shouted, forming a swirling blue sphere of energy in his palm. Rasengan. He struck the entity from behind, and unlike Vegeta's attack, his made contact. The creature screeched, dropping Vegeta as part of its shoulder dissolved into golden light. It whirled on Naruto, mouth contorting impossibly wider. The interloper. Master will be pleased when I bring him your essence. Not happening, 18 said, launching herself forward. Drawing on what she'd learned earlier, she concentrated her ki into her fist, striking the exact spot Naruto had damaged. The entity howled as the combined assault left a gaping hole in its form. Vados joined the attack, her staff piercing through the creature's chest. A coordinated assault, she observed. Effective. The entity staggered back, its form rippling as it struggled to maintain cohesion. 3 discordant notes. Forming harmony. Impossible. Naruto formed another hand sign. Believe it. Multi-shadow clone jutsu. Dozens of Narutos appeared, surrounding the entity. Each held a different energy formation, some with swirling blue spheres, others with blades of wind, still others with flames that burned gold rather than red. I've dealt with your kind before, the original Naruto declared. You're not even Kale himself, just an aspect, a fragment of his consciousness sent to scout. The entity's mouth twisted into what might have been a smile. Correct. And I have seen enough. It suddenly collapsed inward, its body imploding into a singularity that pulled at the surrounding air. Before anyone could react, it released a pulse of dark energy that dissipated Naruto's clones and knocked the others backward. When they recovered, the entity was gone, but the breach remained, pulsing ominously. Whis, now freed from whatever had constrained him, looked genuinely concerned. In all my existence, I've never encountered an entity that could simply negate my movement through time. Vegeta, rubbing his throat, glared at Naruto. Start talking. What was that thing, and why could you hurt it when I couldn't? Naruto sighed, his divine appearance momentarily flickering to reveal a more human-looking young man before stabilizing again. That was an aspect of Kale, a piece of the void given form. Physical attacks don't work because it doesn't fully exist in your dimension. But yours did, Bulma noted, already typing observations into her tablet. And so did 18's and Vados's. Our energies resonate at a frequency the void can't easily corrupt, Naruto explained. Divine chakra is balanced life energy, angelic power is ordered cosmic energy, and 18's modified ki is a bridge between artificial and natural power. Together, they create a harmonic that disrupts void energy. Whis tapped his staff thoughtfully. Which explains why it retreated so quickly. It was gathering information, not truly attacking. Exactly, Naruto confirmed. And now Kale knows about us, knows we can hurt him. He'll adapt. Great, 18 muttered. So we've lost the element of surprise. But gained valuable information, Vados countered. We now know our combined abilities are effective. Bulma looked between them. So what's the plan? Because that thing, she gestured to the breach, is still growing, just more slowly. Naruto turned to 18 and Vados. We need to combine our energies more effectively. Create a seal that can close the main breach. And how do we do that? 18 asked. I need to teach you both a sealing technique from my world, Naruto replied. Adapted to work with your energies. Vegeta scoffed. While you three play with seals, what's stopping more of those things from coming through? Nothing, Naruto admitted. We'll need defenders to hold them off while we prepare. Whis nodded. I believe that's where Lord Beerus, Goku, and yourself would be most useful, Vegeta. The Saiyan Prince crossed his arms. Fine. But this better work. I don't like the idea of fighting enemies I can't even hit. Brother, Vados addressed Whis, perhaps you should inform the Grand Priest. This threat extends beyond our assigned universes. Whis nodded. I shall. Though I suspect he's already aware. As the others discussed defense strategies, 18 pulled Naruto aside. You're holding something back. What aren't you telling us? Naruto met her gaze steadily. Those eyes, galaxies swirling in gold and purple, seemed to see right through her artificial enhancements to something more essential. You're perceptive, he said quietly. The truth is, I've encountered Kale before, but I didn't defeat him. I only drove him back. So he's unbeatable. Naruto shook his head. Not unbeatable. Just, ancient. Persistent. He exists to undo creation itself. As long as existence continues, he'll keep trying to reach it. That's not exactly reassuring. It wasn't meant to be. Naruto's expression softened slightly. But what I didn't tell the others is that sealing him away comes with a cost. The three of us will be connected by the seal, our energies linked permanently. 18 frowned. What does that mean exactly? It means we'll be bound together. Able to sense each other across dimensions, share power when needed. He hesitated. It's an intimate connection. In my world, such bindings were only used between those who trusted each other completely. Before 18 could respond, the breach pulsed again, more violently this time. Darkness spread from its edges like veins, crawling across the sky. We're out of time, Naruto said grimly. Ready or not, Kale is making his move. They relocated to a secure underground chamber beneath Capsule Corp, a reinforced laboratory where Bulma conducted her most dangerous experiments. The room hummed with advanced technology designed to contain and measure energy output. This should shield our preparations from Kale's senses, Bulma explained, activating a series of quantum field generators. At least temporarily. Outside, they could feel the gathering storm. Goku had arrived with Beerus, both immediately joining Vegeta and Whis as the first line of defense against whatever might emerge from the breach. Even from deep underground, they could feel the occasional tremors from the battles above. Naruto stood in the center of the room, etching complex symbols on the floor with a brush and ink he'd produced from a storage seal in his palm. These markings will help focus our energies, he explained as he worked. The technique is called the Cosmic Harmony Seal. It's based on something the Sage of Six Paths created, but I've modified it to work with energies from different dimensions. Vados observed with scholarly interest. The pattern resembles the creation matrices in the Angel Codex. Fascinating that different dimensions would develop such similar concepts. Not so surprising, Naruto replied without looking up. Creation follows certain patterns across all realities. It's destruction that takes infinite forms. 18 watched them both, arms crossed. The casual discussion of cosmic forces reminded her how out of her depth she was. Despite her power, she was neither a god nor an angel, just a modified human caught between worlds. What's my role in this? She finally asked. I don't know anything about seals or divine patterns. Naruto looked up, his brush pausing. Your role is the most important. Angels and gods exist in hierarchies, predictable, orderly. But you're something else entirely, a being who defies categorization. Part human, part machine, with power that rivals the divine but follows different rules. You're the bridge, Vados added, surprising 18 with her supportive tone. Where Naruto and I represent opposite ends of the cosmic spectrum, you exist in the balance point between. 18 wasn't entirely convinced. Seems convenient. Naruto grinned, that disarmingly genuine expression that seemed at odds with his godly status. Maybe it is. Or maybe the multiverse has patterns we're only beginning to understand. He stood, having completed the seal array. Either way, we have to try. The room shuddered as something massive impacted the building above. Bulma checked her monitors. They're holding their own, but more of those aspect things keep appearing. Whatever you're going to do it fast. Naruto nodded, his expression turning serious. Vados, stand here. He indicated one point of the triangular seal. I'll take this position. 18, you'll be here, at the apex. They moved to their assigned positions. The seal began to glow faintly in response to their proximity, symbols shifting and flowing like living things. Now what? 18 asked, trying to ignore another tremor from above. Now we synchronize our energies, Naruto instructed. Vados, channel your angelic power into the seal, but hold back its destructive aspects. Focus on creation and order. Vados nodded, her staff glowing as she directed a stream of blue-white energy into the ground beneath her. The symbols around her flared in response. 18, your energy needs to flow freely. Don't try to control it too tightly, let it find its natural path through the seal. She took a deep breath, then released her ki in a steady stream. Unlike her usual precise control, she allowed the energy to flow organically, responding to the pull of the seal. The symbols around her lit up with a unique purple-gold light. Good, Naruto said encouragingly. Now I'll add my chakra to complete the circuit. Golden energy flowed from his hands, filling the remaining symbols. The entire array now glowed with 3 distinct colors that began to blend at the edges where they met. The seal is stable, Naruto continued. Now comes the hard part. We need to pour more power into it, not just energy, but intent. Think about protection, about balance, about the worlds you want to preserve. 18 closed her eyes, focusing on her daughter's smile, on peaceful days at Kame House, on the family she'd never expected to have. She felt her ki respond, growing stronger, more purposeful. That's it, Naruto's voice seemed to come from both outside and inside her mind simultaneously. Now reach for each other's energy. Feel the connections forming. 18 sensed it then, the cool, ordered precision of Vados' angelic power, and the warm, vibrant life force of Naruto's chakra. Their energies touched hers, hesitantly at first, then with growing confidence. The final step, Naruto said, his voice now reverberating through the seal itself, is to accept the connection. To allow our energies to permanently recognize each other. 18 hesitated. What does that mean exactly? It means we'll always be able to find each other, Vados answered, her voice similarly transformed by the energies flowing through them. To share power across any distance. To know if one of us is in danger. It's a bond, Naruto added. Not control, not domination, a freely given connection. Another violent tremor shook the room, and 18 heard Krillin's voice shouting over the communicator system, we can't hold them much longer. Whatever you're doing, hurry. Decision made, 18 nodded. Do it. Naruto brought his hands together in a final seal. By my will as the ultra-divine sage, I bind these energies in harmony. The seal beneath them erupted with light so bright it should have been blinding, yet somehow remained perfectly visible. The 3 distinct colors, Naruto's gold, Vados' blue, and 18's purple, spiraled together at the center of the array, then shot upward in a pillar that passed effortlessly through the ceiling and building above. 18 gasped as foreign energy flowed through her, warm chakra and cool angelic power merging with her ki, transforming it without diminishing her uniqueness. She could feel Naruto's boundless determination and Vados' timeless perspective, just as they could surely feel her resilient humanity. The pillar of light struck the breach directly, and a sound like reality itself screaming filled the air. For a moment, the world seemed to hold its breath. Then the breach began to close, slowly at first, then faster, the edges knitting together like a wound healing at impossible speed. As it sealed completely, a shockwave of purifying energy spread outward, dissolving the remaining aspects and cleansing the corrupted zones across the planet. The seal beneath them faded, its purpose fulfilled, but the connection it had forged remained, a warm, constant presence in 18's mind that somehow felt like it had always been there. Naruto stumbled slightly, looking momentarily drained before his divine energy stabilized. It worked. The main breach is closed. Vados nodded, her normally perfect composure slightly ruffled. The smaller breaches are sealing themselves in response. The pattern is holding. 18 looked between them, feeling strangely lightheaded. So it's over. For now, Naruto replied, his expression serious despite the victory. We've repelled the first assault, but Kale won't give up so easily. He'll look for other ways in, other dimensions where the barriers are weaker. Then we'll stop him again, 18 said with unexpected conviction. That's what this bond is for, isn't it? Naruto smiled, not his usual bright grin, but something softer, almost vulnerable. Yes. That's exactly what it's for. The door burst open as their friends rushed in, celebrating the victory and demanding explanations. But amid the chaos, 18 found herself watching Naruto and Vados with new awareness. She could feel them through the bond, Naruto's relief tinged with lingering concern, Vados's curiosity about this unprecedented connection. And underneath it all, a sense that their lives had just become irreversibly intertwined in ways none of them fully understood yet. The battle was won, but their journey had only begun. From the depths of the void between dimensions, Kale observed the closing of his gateway with detached interest. The being had no true form, existing as a concept more than an entity, the embodiment of the nothing that preceded something. Fascinating, it communicated to itself. The interloper has found allies. A convergence of powers never meant to interact. The bond between them glowed across the dimensional barriers, a beacon that both denied him entry and provided a target for future attempts. A temporary setback. Existence is fleeting. The void is eternal. Kale's consciousness expanded, searching for other weaknesses, other realities where the walls between dimensions were thin. The multiverse was vast, and somewhere, a door would open. And when it did, he would be waiting. Chapter 2, Divine Resonance. 3 days after sealing the breach, 18 stood on the beach outside Kame House, watching the waves roll in as the sun set. The bond pulsed gently in the back of her mind, Naruto's golden warmth and Vados's cool precision, both presences now as familiar as her own thoughts. She sensed Naruto before she heard him, a slight shift in the air followed by the soft crunch of sand. You're getting better at dimensional travel, she said without turning around. Less dramatic entrance this time. Naruto stepped beside her, his divine appearance dimmed to something more human, still intimidating by normal standards, but less, cosmic deity, and more, extremely powerful warrior. I figured your family might appreciate me not tearing reality open on their doorstep. He grinned. Besides, with our connection, I can find you without the light show. 18 nodded, eyes still on the horizon. You found something? Yeah. His expression turned serious. The breaches are stabilized for now, but Kale's already probing for weaknesses in other dimensions. We need more information if we're going to stop him permanently. And let me guess, that information is in your world. Ancient sage scrolls, specifically. Records from the time when Kale first attempted to enter our reality. Naruto looked at her directly. I need you and Vados to come with me. 18 finally turned to face him. Why? Can't you just grab the scrolls and bring them here? The knowledge is protected. The seals respond to intent and chakra signatures. Plus, he tapped his temple, our bond works better when we're physically together. The resonance is stronger. She couldn't argue with that. Even standing this close, she could feel their connection humming with increased intensity. When do we leave? Now would be ideal. Vados is already waiting at the meeting point. 18 sighed. Let me tell Krillin and grab a few things. 5 minutes. Inside the house, Krillin was helping Marin with homework. He looked up when 18 entered, immediately reading her expression. Another mission? She nodded. Dimensional travel this time. Wow, you're really moving up in the cosmic hierarchy. Despite his joking tone, concern shadowed his eyes. How long? Not sure. But with their time-space abilities, we should be back quickly. She knelt beside Marin. Be good for your dad, okay? Mom's going to help keep the universe safe. Marin hugged her tightly. Bring me back something cool from another dimension. 18 smiled, kissing her daughter's forehead. I'll see what I can do. Krillin walked her to the door after she packed a small bag. You trust them? This Naruto guy appeared out of nowhere, and Vados has her own agenda. Trust is a strong word. 18 adjusted her bag. But we're connected now. I can literally feel their intentions. She touched her chest where the bond hummed steadily. They're not lying about the threat. Krillin nodded, then pulled her into a tight hug. Be careful. Even gods can be wrong sometimes. Don't I know it? She returned the hug before stepping back. I'll contact Bulma when I can. Outside, Naruto waited patiently. When 18 rejoined him, he offered his hand. This is going to feel strange the first time, he warned. Cross-dimensional travel is different from the instant transmission you're used to. 18 took his hand, surprised by its warmth. I'm half machine. I've experienced strange my entire second life. Naruto grinned. Fair point. He closed his eyes, and golden markings spread across his skin. Here we go. The world stretched and compressed simultaneously. 18's enhanced senses registered colors that shouldn't exist and sounds beyond any spectrum she knew. For a moment, she felt as if she were everywhere and nowhere, her consciousness expanded to impossible breadth before snapping back to singular focus. They materialized on a stone platform surrounded by towering trees. The air felt different, thicker with natural energy that even 18's modified senses could detect. Vados stood nearby, looking uncharacteristically impressed. Fascinating method of travel, the angel commented. Quite different from our dimensional shifting. We call it sage transmission, Naruto explained, releasing 18's hand. It follows the natural energy paths between realities rather than cutting through them. 18 took a moment to steady herself, analyzing their surroundings with tactical precision. Where exactly are we? The land of fire, near what used to be Konohagakure, the village hidden in the leaves. Naruto's expression held a complex mix of emotions. My home, though it's changed since I knew it. Looking around, 18 could see why. The massive trees had clearly grown around and through what once must have been buildings. Nature had reclaimed much of the area, though with purpose rather than abandonment. The integration of structure and flora seemed deliberate, harmonious. Your people evolved beyond physical settlements? Vados asked, studying a tree that seamlessly incorporated stone foundations into its trunk. Naruto nodded. After the Fourth Great Ninja War, we realized our connection to natural energy was more important than traditional boundaries. The villages still exist, but they're living entities now, part of the ecosystem. He led them along a path that seemed to form itself before them, the undergrowth parting as they approached. 18 noticed small creatures watching from the branches, not animals exactly, but something between organic and energy construct. Nature spirits, Naruto explained, following her gaze. They maintain the balance when I'm away. So you're what, the god of this world? 18 asked bluntly. Naruto laughed, a surprisingly human sound from such a powerful being. Nothing that formal. I'm more like a guardian. The ultra-divine sage is a role, not a title. I maintain the connection between natural energy, chakra, and the people who live here. And they worship you? Vados inquired with scholarly interest. No more than people in your universe worship the Kais. He shrugged. They know I exist. Some ask for guidance. Mostly I just make sure nothing breaks the balance we've worked so hard to create. The path widened, revealing a massive clearing where an ancient tree stood alone, its trunk wider than buildings, its canopy stretching beyond sight. At its base, an opening pulsed with gentle golden light. The repository, Naruto said with reverence. Knowledge collected since the time of the Sage of Six Paths. If answers about Kale exist anywhere, they're in there. As they approached, figures emerged from the forest edges, humans wearing simple clothes with symbols that glowed faintly against the fabric. They didn't block the path but watched with obvious curiosity. Lord Sage, one called out, stepping forward with a respectful bow. You've returned with, visitors. Allies, Naruto corrected gently. From dimensions beyond our own. We seek knowledge about the void entity. The gathered people murmured among themselves, expressions turning grave. It has returned? Asked an elderly woman, her face marked with symbols similar to Naruto's when he channeled his power. It never truly left, Naruto replied. Just sought easier entry points. The woman nodded grimly. The archives are open to you, as always. Her eyes shifted to 18 and Vados. Though outsiders have never entered before. They're bound to me, Naruto explained, gesturing to his chest where the connection pulsed. Their energy signatures will be recognized by the seals. This seemed to satisfy the elders, who stepped aside with respectful nods. As they walked toward the great tree, 18 leaned closer to Naruto. Your people seem very accepting of strangers from other dimensions. Naruto smiled. When you fought alongside ten-tailed beasts, resurrected ancestors, and aliens from the moon, dimensional travelers barely register as unusual. The inside of the repository defied physics as 18 understood it. What appeared to be a simple opening in the tree expanded into a vast library, shelves stretching in impossible directions, filled with scrolls and tablets that glowed with internal light. The space felt simultaneously ancient and timeless, knowledge preserved in a pocket dimension. Okay, I'm impressed, 18 admitted, her analytical mind struggling to process the spatial incongruity. Vados glided gracefully between the shelves, her innate connection to cosmic knowledge drawing her to certain sections. These preservation methods rival the angel archives. How do you maintain energy stability in such a concentrated space? Naruto led them deeper into the library. Balanced chakra flow. The tree itself acts as a conduit and regulator, filtering natural energy to preserve the contents without corruption. And where exactly are these records about Kale? 18 asked, getting straight to the point. The void section. It's. Naruto frowned, sensing something through their bond. You feel that? 18 did, a subtle wrongness, like static beneath the connection. Vados nodded, her staff materializing in her hand. Something's interfering with the energy flow, the angel observed. Recent and deliberate. Naruto's pace quickened, leading them through winding paths until they reached a circular chamber at what felt like the heart of the tree. The walls were lined with ancient scrolls, but several empty spaces showed where items had been removed. No, Naruto muttered, immediately examining the gaps. The void scrolls, some are missing. Stolen? 18 asked, automatically scanning for security weaknesses. Impossible, Naruto replied, his divine energy flaring. The seals would prevent anyone but me from removing them. Unless, Vados suggested, examining the empty spaces with her staff, they were corrupted first. Naruto's expression darkened. Kale. He's already been here, or at least his influence has. He placed his hand against the tree wall, golden energy flowing from his palm into the wood. The entire chamber resonated in response, symbols lighting up along the surfaces. When? He asked aloud, though 18 wasn't sure if he was addressing them or the tree itself. Patterns shifted beneath his palm, forming images that flowed like living things. 18 couldn't read the symbols, but their meaning translated through the bond, impressions rather than words. 3 days ago, Naruto said grimly. While we were sealing the breach in your world. A diversion, Vados concluded. He knew you would sense the larger breach and respond. Leaving this place vulnerable, 18 finished. Smart move. What exactly did he take? Naruto pulled his hand away, the images fading. Records about his weaknesses. Specifically, the harmonic frequencies that can disrupt void energy permanently. So he's eliminating information about how to defeat him, 18 said. Standard villain playbook. Not eliminated, Naruto corrected, moving to another section. There are always backups. He pressed his palm to a seemingly blank wall, and a hidden compartment revealed itself, containing a single black scroll sealed with golden thread. The Sage of Six Paths was paranoid in the best way possible. He created multiple copies with different security protocols. Naruto carefully removed the scroll. This one can only be accessed by someone wielding both Yin and Yang chakra in perfect balance. Vados examined the scroll without touching it. I sense tremendous power sealed within. This is more than just information. It's a technique, Naruto confirmed. The original method used to repel Kale during his first attempt to enter our dimension. 18 crossed her arms. Great. So we have the instruction manual. Now what? Now we learn how to use it. Naruto carefully unrolled the scroll on a nearby table. But first, we need to understand what we're really facing. This scroll contains the true history of Kale, what he is, where he came from. As the scroll opened fully, its contents glowed and projected upward, not just text but three-dimensional images forming in the air above. 18 and Vados stepped closer, watching as the story unfolded in living pictures. The images showed the birth of a multiverse, not just Naruto's or the Dragon Ball reality, but a vast web of interconnected dimensions. Between these realities existed the void, not simply emptiness, but an active force, a counterbalance to creation itself. Before existence, there was nothing, Naruto narrated as the images shifted. But when the first realities formed, that nothing gained awareness. Purpose. The projection showed a consciousness developing within the void, Kale, though not as an entity but as a concept given direction. Its purpose was balance, Vados observed, watching intently. To prevent unchecked expansion of reality. Naruto nodded. Initially, yes. The void served as a boundary, keeping dimensions from collapsing into each other. But over time, as more realities formed, Kale's purpose shifted. The images darkened, showing the void consciousness actively reaching into realities, pulling them back into nothingness. It decided existence itself was the imbalance, 18 said, understanding immediately. Not just unchecked growth, but any growth at all. Exactly. Kale came to believe that the natural state of everything is non-existence. Creation itself became the enemy. Naruto pointed to the next sequence, showing ancient beings from various realities joining forces. When Kale first began actively consuming dimensions, the gods of those worlds united to stop him. The projection showed a massive battle across multiple realities, energies clashing on a scale that made even 18's encounters with universe-threatening entities seem small. They couldn't destroy him, the void is necessary for the multiverse to function, Naruto continued. But they could bind him, limit his influence to maintaining boundaries rather than erasing existence. The final images showed a complex seal forming across dimensional lines, containing Kale's consciousness within the spaces between realities. That seal has weakened over time, Vados noted. All things entropy, even divine works. And now he's finding ways through, 18 added. Starting with the weaker boundaries between your universe and ours. Naruto rolled the scroll closed, the projections fading. This confirms what I suspected. Kale isn't just trying to break through in isolated locations, he's attempting to collapse the boundaries between all dimensions simultaneously, returning everything to primordial void. So how do we stop him? 18 asked. I doubt we can gather all the gods from every dimension for another cosmic team-up. We don't need to, Naruto replied, tapping the scroll. The original seal was created with representatives from different energy systems: divine, demonic, natural, artificial. Our bond already connects 3 unique energy signatures. We just need to learn how to amplify that resonance and use it to reinforce the original seal rather than creating a new one, Vados concluded. Elegant, if extremely difficult. Which means we need to train, 18 said pragmatically. Learn how to synchronize our energies more effectively. Naruto grinned, that unexpectedly bright expression that seemed at odds with his divine status. Exactly. And I know just the place. The training ground Naruto led them to wasn't what 18 expected. Instead of a dojo or battlefield, they arrived at a serene valley where massive crystals emerged from the earth, each pulsing with different colors of energy. A small waterfall fed into a clear pool at the center, its water glowing faintly with chakra. The Valley of Resonance, Naruto explained. Created by the first Hokage as a place to harmonize natural and spiritual energies. Vados approached one of the crystals, her hand hovering above its surface. These are amplifiers. They respond to energy input and magnify specific frequencies. Smart, 18 commented, analyzing the setup with her tactical mind. So instead of just brute forcing our energies together, we can fine-tune the resonance. That's the idea. Naruto removed his outer robe, revealing a simple black undershirt with spiral patterns. Let's start with basics, understanding each other's energy signatures. The training began with each demonstrating their core abilities. Vados moved first, her angelic energy manifesting as precise, geometrical patterns of light, beautiful but lethal in their perfection. Every movement followed cosmic laws that predated the universe itself. Angelic energy exists in harmony with creation itself, she explained as she manipulated reality with elegant gestures. It doesn't oppose natural law but rather enforces it. 18 went next, showing how her modified ki operated on principles that bridged organic and synthetic systems. Her energy didn't flow like Naruto's chakra or maintain the perfect symmetry of Vados's angelic power, instead, it pulsed with mechanical precision while adapting organically to changing conditions. Dr. Gero was an asshole, but he was a genius, 18 said as she demonstrated an energy absorption technique. He created a system that can interface with any energy type, analyze it, and adapt. Naruto nodded thoughtfully. That's why your energy works so well against Kale. You're essentially a universal translator between different power systems. Finally, Naruto demonstrated the nature of chakra, the blend of physical and spiritual energy unique to his dimension. Unlike the raw power of ki or the cosmic precision of angelic energy, chakra was fundamentally transformative, capable of taking countless forms and functions. Sage chakra takes it further, he explained, his eyes shifting to their toad-like appearance as orange pigmentation appeared around them. It adds natural energy to the mix, connecting the user to the world itself. And your ultra-divine sage form? Vados asked with scholarly interest. Naruto's expression grew more serious. That came later. After the war, after becoming Hokage, after. He paused. After losing people I cared about to time itself. I sought a way to protect everyone, not just for a lifetime but forever. Golden light rippled across his skin, his eyes shifting to their galaxy-filled appearance. I found ancient texts about the Otsutsuki, celestial beings who consumed worlds for power. They sought godhood through domination. I wondered if there was another path, godhood through protection and balance. The power emanating from him now made the very air tremble, yet it felt warm, inviting rather than oppressive. I succeeded, but the price was removing myself from the normal flow of time and causality. The power dimmed as Naruto returned to his base form. Which is why I understood what Kale was doing immediately. When you exist partially outside conventional reality, you recognize others who do the same. 18 studied him with new understanding. Despite his power and age, which she now realized must be far greater than his appearance suggested, there was still something fundamentally human about Naruto Uzumaki. A core of stubborn determination and compassion that transcendence hadn't erased. Enough theory, she said, bringing them back to the practical. How do we actually harmonize our energies? Naruto grinned, seemingly grateful for the redirect. We fight, of course. Against each other? Vados questioned. With each other, Naruto corrected, gesturing toward the far end of the valley where the ground began to rumble. Against that. A massive creature emerged from beneath the earth, resembling a cross between a toad and a dragon, its body covered in pulsing chakra veins. Despite its fearsome appearance, 18 sensed no malice from it. A training construct, Naruto explained. It will adapt to counter whatever energies we use, forcing us to work together and adjust continuously. 18 dropped immediately into a fighting stance, analyzing the construct for weaknesses. Any rules or limitations we should know about? Just one, Naruto replied as the construct charged. Don't lose. What followed was the most unusual combat training 18 had ever experienced. The construct didn't just attack physically, it absorbed and reflected their energies back in corrupted form. When 18 fired a key blast, the creature transformed the energy into void-like darkness before returning it. Vados' precise strikes were met with chaotic counterattacks that ignored the laws of physics she relied upon. And Naruto's chakra techniques, from shadow clones to Rasengan variations, were countered with equivalent nullification effects. Fighting individually, they made no progress. The creature regenerated instantly from physical damage and adapted to each energy pattern they deployed. We need to synchronize. Naruto called out, dodging a corrupted version of his own Rasen Shuriken. Match your energy output with mine. 18 tried, adjusting her ki to flow in patterns similar to Naruto's chakra spirals, but the result was unstable, fizzling out before reaching the target. Too rigid, Vados observed, creating a barrier to block the construct's next attack. You're trying to force compatibility rather than finding natural resonance. After several failed attempts, they regrouped behind one of the larger crystals. This isn't working, 18 said bluntly, wiping sweat from her brow. We're thinking too tactically, treating our energies like weapons to be aimed. Naruto nodded. You're right. We need to connect more fundamentally. He held out his hands. The bond already links us. Let's build on that. 18 hesitated only briefly before taking his right hand. Vados took his left, then completed the circle by connecting with 18. The bond between them pulsed stronger, their energies beginning to flow in a circuit. Don't try to control it, Naruto advised. Just feel how the energies move naturally between us. 18 relaxed her usual iron discipline, allowing her ki to respond to the pull of Naruto's chakra and the push of Vados' angelic power. The sensation was unlike anything she'd experienced, not a loss of identity but an expansion of it, her consciousness touching aspects of reality her modified senses had never detected. Through the connection, she felt Naruto's history, centuries compressed into moments, joy and loss in equal measure, the loneliness of watching loved ones age and die while he remained. She felt Vados' eternal perspective, millennia of observing cosmic cycles, the strange detachment of angels tempered by genuine curiosity about mortal experience. And they, in turn, experienced her, the trauma of transformation, the reclamation of humanity after being weaponized, the fierce protection she felt toward her unexpected family. When they broke the circle, something had fundamentally changed. 18 could still feel them distinctly through the bond, but now understood their energies on an intuitive level. Again, she said, turning to face the construct with new determination. This time, when they attacked, their energies flowed in natural harmony. 18 didn't copy Naruto's techniques or Vados' precision, instead, she found the spaces where her abilities complemented theirs. Her modified ki acted as a bridge, translating chakra patterns into forms angelic energy could enhance, and vice versa. Naruto created shadow clones that 18 infused with her energy, making them resistant to the construct's corruption. Vados established perfect geometric formations that 18 and Naruto filled with their combined power, creating attacks the creature couldn't simply absorb and reflect. The construct fought viciously, evolving new defenses with each exchange. But with every adaptation it made, their coordination improved. They weren't just fighting together, they were thinking together, anticipating each other's movements through the resonance of their bond. The final blow came when Naruto formed a massive Rasengan, but instead of charging it with just chakra, he created a framework that 18 and Vados filled with their energies. The resulting sphere contained all three signatures in perfect balance, a physical manifestation of their connection. When it struck the construct, the creature didn't simply dissolve but transformed, its corrupted aspects purified as it sank peacefully back into the earth. 18 landed beside her companions, breathing hard but exhilarated. That was different. Effective, though, Vados noted, her normally perfect appearance slightly disheveled from the intense combat. Our energies are achieving approximately 68% synchronization now. We'll need more than that to reinforce the seal against Kale, Naruto said, though he was smiling. But it's a good start. As they rested beside the glowing pool, 18 found herself studying her companions with new awareness. The brief glimpses into their experiences during the connection had shifted her perception. Naruto wasn't just an interdimensional god, and Vados wasn't just a cosmic functionary, they were individuals with depths and complexities she was only beginning to understand. "You've both lived so long," she said suddenly. "Seen so much. Doesn't it get?" She paused, searching for the right word. "Lonely?" Naruto suggested quietly. "Tedious," Vados offered simultaneously. They looked at each other, then laughed, a surprisingly genuine moment of connection that had nothing to do with cosmic threats or energy resonance. "Both, sometimes," Naruto admitted. "But there's always something new to discover. Someone new to meet." His eyes met 18's with unexpected warmth. "The patterns repeat, but the individuals never do," Vados agreed, her usual detachment softening slightly. "That's what makes eternity bearable." 18 nodded, understanding better now why these immortal, godlike beings still engaged so directly with mortal affairs. It wasn't duty alone that motivated them, it was connection, the antidote to eternal isolation. Before she could respond, the ground trembled beneath them, not the controlled movement of the training construct, but something violent and chaotic. "That's not part of the training, is it?" she asked, already on her feet. Naruto's expression darkened. "No. Something's broken through." They raced back toward the repository, following the pulses of corrupted energy that tainted the natural flow of the forest. As they approached, 18 saw the damage, trees withered along a path leading directly to the great tree, the ground beneath them leached of color and life. "Void corruption," Naruto confirmed grimly. Kale found another way in. They arrived to find the repository under attack. A figure stood before the ancient tree, humanoid but wrong, its proportions subtly distorted as if viewed through warped glass. Where the aspect they'd faced in 18's universe had been clearly non-human, this entity wore the appearance of a woman with pale skin and flowing white hair, though her eyes were empty voids that leaked black mist. Around her, Naruto's people fought desperately, their chakra techniques slowing but not stopping her advance. Each time their energies touched her, the attackers grew visibly weaker, their life force siphoned away. "A lieutenant," Vados observed. "More powerful than the aspects, with a portion of Kale's true consciousness." The entity turned as they approached, her void eyes focusing on Naruto. When she spoke, her voice resonated on multiple frequencies simultaneously. "Sage. You've returned to your cage." Her gaze shifted to 18 and Vados. "And brought new toys." Naruto stepped forward, golden energy already spreading across his skin. "How did you get through the barriers? This dimension is sealed against void energy." The entity smiled, a movement that stretched too far across her face. "Your precious seals weaken each time you leave. Your ascension may have given you godhood, but it tied you to this realm's protection. Absence has consequences. 18 processed the implications instantly. She's saying you're the seal, Naruto. Your presence here maintains the barriers. The lieutenant clapped mockingly. The artificial one understands. Half machine, half human, all irrelevant. Vados twirled her staff, angelic energy gathering around her. What is your purpose here? The knowledge you seek has already been removed. Knowledge is one resource. Life energy is another. The entity gestured to the weakened defenders around her. This realm is rich with balanced force, perfect fuel for my master's emergence. Without warning, she attacked, not with physical force but with tendrils of void energy that shot toward the nearest defenders. Naruto moved instantly, golden chains erupting from his back to intercept the tendrils before they could touch his people. Get everyone away from the repository, he shouted to the stunned shinobi. Fall back to the secondary seals. The defenders retreated in coordinated groups, carrying their weakened comrades. 18 and Vados flanked Naruto, their energies automatically synchronizing after their training session. You can't have them, Naruto stated flatly, his voice carrying the weight of divine authority. And you can't have this knowledge. The lieutenant tilted her head, void eyes narrowing. Then I will take you instead. Your essence would please Master Kale. She launched forward with impossible speed, reality distorting around her movement. 18 reacted instinctively, intercepting with a precisely calculated counter that would have shattered ordinary matter. Her fist passed through the lieutenant as if through smoke, but unlike the aspect they'd fought before, this entity didn't just ignore the attack, it latched onto 18's energy, beginning to drain it through the point of contact. 18 gasped as cold emptiness spread up her arm, her modified ki being converted into void energy. She tried to pull away, but the connection held. 18. Naruto shouted, already moving to assist. Vados was faster, her staff striking the space between 18 and the lieutenant with surgical precision. The angelic energy severed the draining connection, allowing 18 to break free. Thanks, she managed, flexing her arm as sensation returned painfully. Physical attacks empower her, Vados warned. She feeds on contact. The lieutenant laughed, a sound like shattering crystal. Correct, Angel. Your celestial bureaucracy always did understand the rules. Pity you never questioned them. She shifted focus, directing a wave of void energy toward the repository itself. The ancient tree shuddered as corruption began spreading up its trunk, the knowledge inside responding with protective golden light. Naruto slammed his hands together, forming a complex seal. Multidimensional barrier. A dome of golden energy encased the tree, halting the corruption spread. Maintaining the barrier clearly required concentration, beads of sweat forming on Naruto's forehead despite his divine power. We need to drive her back, he said through gritted teeth. If she corrupts the repository, we lose everything, not just the knowledge, but the natural energy nexus for this entire dimension. 18 analyzed the situation with tactical precision. Direct attacks don't work. We need to use the resonance. Without touching her, Vados added. Distance attacks only. They moved in practiced formation, their earlier training paying dividends. 18 generated concentrated ki spheres that Vados enhanced with angelic patterns before Naruto added chakra seals to their surface. The resulting projectiles carried their combined resonance, striking the lieutenant from multiple angles. Each hit caused the entity to flicker, her false form temporarily disrupted. But she adapted quickly, creating void shields that absorbed their attacks. Amusing, she commented, void eyes fixed on their coordinated movements. Your bond is stronger than anticipated. Master will be pleased to break it. She pressed her attack, focusing now on Naruto himself. If his concentration broke, the repository would be vulnerable. 18 and Vados moved to intercept, creating a defensive perimeter around him. The lieutenant changed tactics, suddenly diving into the ground itself. The earth blackened beneath their feet, void energy spreading outward like cracks in glass. She's trying to corrupt the natural energy of the entire area, Naruto warned. If she succeeds, my connection to this dimension will weaken. Vados raised her staff. I can temporarily suspend the corruption spread, but not indefinitely. As she channeled angelic energy into the ground, creating a containment field, 18 turned to Naruto. We need a more permanent solution. You said your presence maintains the seals here, can we use that somehow? Naruto's eyes widened. The connection works both ways. This dimension reinforces my power just as I reinforce its barriers. His gaze shifted to the repository. There's a ritual chamber inside, designed specifically to amplify dimensional resonance. You want to use the lieutenant's attack against her, 18 realized. Draw her into a trap. Exactly. But we'll need to coordinate perfectly. He looked at Vados, still maintaining her containment field with visible effort. Can you hold that barrier for a few more minutes? The angel nodded. Provided you don't dawdle. Naruto quickly outlined his plan. 18 listened with growing appreciation for his tactical thinking. Beneath the divine power and compassionate demeanor was a mind trained for battle and strategy. They moved quickly, 18 and Naruto entering the repository while Vados maintained the defensive perimeter outside. The lieutenant, sensing their retreat, pressed harder against the angelic barrier, void energy eating away at its edges. Inside, Naruto led 18 to a chamber beneath the main library, a perfect sphere lined with crystal facets that reflected their images infinitely. The resonance chamber, he explained, activating seals that caused the crystals to glow with internal light. Created by the first Hokage to amplify natural energy for healing purposes. We're going to repurpose it. To do what exactly? 18 asked, studying the complex array of seals Naruto was drawing on the floor. Create a purification field. If we can't drive the lieutenant out, we'll convert her energy instead. He looked up from his work. But it requires precise timing and, he hesitated, complete synchronization between us. More than we've achieved so far. 18 understood the unspoken implication. You mean we need to deepen the bond? Naruto nodded. Temporarily, at least. The resonance required for this technique goes beyond energy manipulation, it requires alignment of intent and consciousness. Under normal circumstances, 18 would have hesitated. Allowing anyone deeper access to her mind went against every survival instinct she developed since being activated. But the bond they already shared had proven trustworthy, and she could feel Vados' growing strain through their connection. Do it, she said firmly. What do you need from me? Stand here, Naruto directed her to the center of the seal array. And open your mind to the bond. Don't fight what you experience. 18 took her position, watching as Naruto completed the array with rapid, precise movements. Through their connection, she felt Vados acknowledge the plan and prepare to drive the lieutenant toward them when the moment came. Ready? Naruto asked, taking his own position opposite her. 18 nodded, dropping the mental barriers she habitually maintained. The bond expanded immediately, Naruto's consciousness flowing into hers with gentle persistence. This wasn't the brief glimpse she'd experienced during training, this was full immersion. She saw his life in flashes, a lonely childhood filled with rejection and determination, the gradual accumulation of precious bonds with friends and mentors, devastating losses and world-shaking battles. She felt his transformation from human to something beyond, the gradual isolation as his lifespan extended beyond all his contemporaries. And she felt his genuine care for her and Vados, not just as tactical allies but as individuals he was coming to treasure. In turn, she knew he was experiencing her memories, the confusion of awakening as something both more and less than human, the struggle to reclaim her identity, the unexpected joy she'd found with Krillin and Marin. Her determination to protect what she loved, her willingness to sacrifice for those who mattered. The resonance between them deepened, their energies no longer just compatible but actively seeking harmony. The crystal chamber amplified this connection, reflecting it back upon them in strengthening waves. Through their shared awareness, they felt Vados complete her preparations outside. The angel had repositioned herself to drive the lieutenant directly toward the repository's heart, toward the trap they'd prepared. Now. They thought simultaneously. Vados released her barrier in a controlled collapse, creating a funnel of angelic energy that the lieutenant instinctively followed, believing she'd found a weakness. The void entity surged forward, breaking through the repository's outer defenses and following the path of least resistance, directly to the resonance chamber. When she burst through the doorway, void eyes widening at the sight of the prepared seal array, it was already too late. Naruto and 18 moved in perfect synchronization, their combined energies feeding into the crystal facets surrounding them. The chamber transformed from a simple amplifier into a conversion matrix, designed to capture void energy and transform its fundamental frequency. The lieutenant screamed, a sound that existed on multiple planes simultaneously, as her form began to destabilize. The void energy she'd consumed from Naruto's people was extracted first, purified and returned to the natural flow of the dimension. Impossible, she hissed, her false appearance flickering to reveal the nothingness beneath. This technique was lost. Not lost, Naruto replied, his voice overlapping with 18's as they maintained perfect resonance. Just waiting for the right combination. The purification accelerated, the lieutenant's void essence converted into neutral energy that dispersed harmlessly. As her form collapsed entirely, her final words echoed through both conventional space and their mental connection, Master sees you now. All three connected. All three marked. Then she was gone, not destroyed, as void energy could never be truly eliminated, but dispersed and neutralized. The purified energy flowed through the repository, healing the corruption that had spread through the great tree. Naruto and 18 released the technique, their enhanced connection gradually settling back to its previous level, though something fundamental had shifted between them. The brief but complete sharing of consciousness had created understanding that would have taken years to develop otherwise. Vados joined them, looking slightly drained but composed. The corruption is reversing throughout the forest. Most impressive. You okay? 18 asked her, feeling genuine concern through their bond. Angels are more resilient than we appear, Vados replied with a small smile. Though I admit, containing void energy is taxing. Naruto placed a hand on the crystal wall, checking the repository systems. The knowledge is secure, and the dimensional barriers are stabilizing again. He turned to face them, his expression serious. But the lieutenant was right about one thing, Kale knows us now. All three of us, specifically. We've become targets, 18 concluded. He'll come after us directly. Not just targets, Vados corrected, her tone grave. He said we're marked. In cosmic terms, that suggests a more specific intent, he's attuned to our unique energy signatures now. Which means he can track us across dimensions, Naruto added. And potentially use our bond against us. 18 processed this with her usual pragmatism. So we need better defenses. The ritual we just performed, can it be adapted to shield us? Not exactly, Naruto replied. But there is another technique in the scroll, one designed specifically for connected individuals facing void corruption. Vados nodded in understanding. The celestial anchor. I've seen references to it in the angel archives, though the actual method was lost to us. Not lost to me, Naruto said, leading them back toward the main library. But it requires a deeper commitment than our current bond. 18 raised an eyebrow. Deeper how, exactly? The technique creates a permanent resonance field between participants, Vados explained. Not just energy sharing, but something more intimate. Soul sharing, essentially, Naruto clarified. Each participant anchors the others against void influence, but it requires complete trust and acceptance. 18 considered this carefully. The glimpse into Naruto's consciousness she'd just experienced had been intense but illuminating. The idea of a permanent connection would have terrified her once, but now. Will it help us defeat Kale? She asked finally. It's our best chance, Naruto confirmed. Without the anchor, he'll eventually find a way to corrupt one of us, most likely me, since I've been exposed to void energy the longest. Then we do it, 18 said decisively. Better connected than corrupted. Vados studied her with newfound respect. For a being of such brief existence, you make decisions with remarkable clarity. When you've been forcibly transformed once, you get better at choosing your own transformations, 18 replied with a shrug. Back in the main library, Naruto retrieved the black scroll, which now pulsed with renewed energy. The technique requires natural power from all three realms, my dimension, yours, and the angelic plane. And I'm guessing we need to return to my universe to gather that energy, 18 said. Yes, but first, Naruto paused as a sudden tremor shook the repository. Not void energy this time, but something else, a ripple in dimensional fabric. Vados' staff materialized in her hand. We're being summoned. All three of us. By whom? 18 asked, automatically shifting to a defensive stance. The Grand Priest, Vados replied, her normally composed expression showing concern. And the Omni Kings. They've noticed our cross-dimensional activities. Naruto frowned. The cosmic authorities of your universe? What's their jurisdiction over dimensional travel? Absolute, unfortunately, Vados said. And they're not known for their nuanced understanding of complex situations. Another pulse, stronger this time, the summoning becoming more insistent. We don't have a choice, Vados continued. Ignoring a direct summons from the Omni Kings is inadvisable. 18 had heard enough stories about Zeno's casual destruction of entire universes to understand the understatement. So we go, explain the situation, and get back to work. Naruto nodded, securing the scroll in his robes. My presence might complicate matters. I exist outside their hierarchy. Which they may see as either fascinating or threatening, Vados acknowledged. We should proceed with caution. The summoning pulse came again, and this time a portal began forming in the center of the library, a perfectly circular doorway filled with prismatic light. Too late for caution, 18 muttered. Here we go. The Omni King's palace existed in a dimension above the normal multiverse, a realm of crystalline structures and impossible geometry where the laws of physics were mere suggestions. As they materialized in the grand audience chamber, 18 felt the oppressive weight of concentrated divine power pressing down on them. The Grand Priest stood before them, his ever-present smile revealing nothing of his thoughts. Beside him, on twin thrones that seemed to exist in multiple places simultaneously, sat the two Zeniths, childlike in appearance but radiating power that made even Naruto's divine presence seem modest by comparison. Welcome, the Grand Priest said pleasantly. My daughters Vados and Whis have spoken of interesting developments, but I see the situation is even more unusual than reported. His gaze lingered on Naruto, studying the ultra-divine sage with scholarly interest. A being from outside our dimensional cluster, wielding energy unknown to our archives. How fascinating. The Zeniths leaned forward simultaneously. Who is he? Who is he? They asked in their childish voices. Naruto bowed respectfully but without subservience. I am Naruto Uzumaki, the ultra-divine sage from a dimension beyond your cosmic jurisdiction. I come in peace, seeking cooperation against a threat to all realities. The Grand Priest's smile didn't waver. And yet your presence coincides with unusual disruptions throughout our multiverse. Breaches in dimensional walls, void energy corrupting celestial bodies, angelic protocols being circumvented. His gaze shifted to Vados. My daughter acting without authorization. Vados bowed lower than Naruto had. Father, the situation required immediate action. The entity known as Kale seeks to collapse all dimensional boundaries and return existence to primordial void. Kale, the Zeniths echoed, looking at each other. What's a Kale? The Grand Priest's expression shifted subtly. A theoretical entity. One that exists in ancient warnings, not confirmed reality. I can confirm his reality, Naruto said firmly. In my dimension, we've fought his influence for generations. Now he's found pathways into your multiverse. 18 stepped forward, deciding directness was their best approach. We've already repelled 2 of his incursions, one in Universe 7, another in Naruto's dimension. We have a plan to reinforce the barriers between realities, but we need time and cooperation. The Grand Priest studied her with particular interest. Android 18. A modified human with no divine authority, no cosmic standing, yet somehow bonded to both an ultra-divine sage and an angel attendant. His smile returned. Truly unprecedented. The Zeniths hopped down from their thrones, approaching the trio with childlike curiosity. They circled Naruto, poking at his robes and peering into his galaxy-filled eyes. He's strong. He's strong, they declared with delight. But different strong. Not like us strong. Indeed, the Grand Priest agreed. His power exists on a different axis entirely. Which makes your claims about this Kale entity more credible. He gestured, and a holographic display appeared in the center of the chamber, showing multiple breaches throughout the multiverse, some already sealed, others growing. We've been monitoring these disruptions. If what you say is true, then these are not random cosmic events but coordinated attacks. Exactly, Naruto confirmed. Kale is testing defenses, looking for the weakest points between dimensions. The Grand Priest nodded thoughtfully. And your solution? This plan you mentioned. Vados explained their discovery about energy resonance and the potential of their unique bond to create a harmonizing effect against void influence. 18 was impressed by how the angel presented the information, technically accurate but carefully worded to emphasize cooperation rather than unauthorized action. When she finished, the Grand Priest turned to the Zeniths. What do you think, my lords? Should we permit this cross-dimensional alliance to continue their work? The Zeniths looked at each other, then back at Naruto, 18, and Vados. For a moment, their childish expressions turned unnervingly serious, ancient intelligence shining through their youthful appearance. They feel connected, one said. Very connected, the other agreed. Let them try. They declared in unison, immediately returning to their childlike demeanor. It sounds interesting. The Grand Priest bowed to their decision. Very well. You have permission to continue your efforts against this Kale entity. His smile took on a subtle edge. However, there are conditions. 18 had expected as much. Cosmic bureaucracy was apparently universal. First, the Grand Priest continued, any dimensional travel must be registered with the celestial authority beforehand. No more unauthorized crossings. Reasonable, Naruto acknowledged. Second, this bond you've created must be monitored for stability. Such connections between different cosmic hierarchies are unprecedented and potentially dangerous. Vados bowed. Of course, Father. And finally, the Grand Priest's voice hardened slightly, should your efforts fail and this Kale entity breach the primary dimensional barriers, the Omni Kings will take direct action, which would likely result in the erasure of the affected dimensions. 18's blood ran cold at the casual mention of erasing entire realities. We understand. But we won't fail. The Grand Priest's expression softened slightly at her determination. Your confidence is admirable, Android 18. Perhaps that is why the bond selected you, resilience in the face of cosmic forces. The Zeniths returned to their thrones, already losing interest in the conversation. Make sure they beat the void thing, Grand Priest, one called out. And tell them to visit again, the other added. The gold eye one looks fun to play with. Naruto managed to hide his reaction to being considered a potential playmate for the multiverse's most dangerous entities, but 18 felt his apprehension through their bond. You are dismissed, the Grand Priest announced. My daughter knows the protocols for registering your dimensional movements. I suggest you proceed quickly, the void breaches are accelerating. As they turned to leave through the portal the Grand Priest created, he added one final comment, and regarding the celestial anchor technique you plan to perform, be advised that such deep connections have unexpected consequences. Particularly across dimensional boundaries. Before they could ask what he meant, they were transported away, the crystal palace dissolving around them. They materialized back in Universe 7, specifically on the sacred world of the Kais where Supreme Kai and Elder Kai waited with evident concern. Well? Supreme Kai asked immediately. Are we all about to be erased for unauthorized dimensional tampering? Not yet, 18 replied dryly. We've been given conditional approval to continue. Naruto looked around the sacred planet with interest. This place has a similar energy signature to Mount Mayaboku in my world, concentrated natural power cultivated over millennia. Elder Kai harumphed. Of course it does. Sacred realms follow universal patterns, even across dimensional boundaries. He peered at Naruto suspiciously. Though you're something new altogether, aren't you? Neither mortal nor proper deity. That's what we need to discuss, Vados interjected smoothly. We require the sacred world's natural energy for a specific technique, one that may help contain the void breaches. Supreme Kai looked alarmed. You want to use our planet's energy? That could destabilize the entire realm. Not if done properly, Naruto assured him. I've worked with similar energy systems before. We would only channel what the realm can safely provide. While they discussed the technical aspects, 18 found herself drawn to the edge of a nearby cliff, looking out over the peaceful landscape. After the intensity of the Omni Kings palace and the battle in Naruto's dimension, the quiet serenity was welcome. She sensed Naruto approaching before he spoke. Heavy thoughts. Just processing, she replied. 3 days ago, I was worried about Marin's piano recital. Now I'm involved in multidimensional politics with the fate of all existence at stake. Naruto chuckled, leaning against a nearby tree. If it helps, I was just a hyperactive kid who wanted to become Hokage. Never planned on transcending dimensions either. 18 studied him curiously. Why did you transcend, I mean? From what I saw in our connection, you had people you cared about, a whole village that respected you. Why choose to become this? She gestured to his divine form. Naruto was quiet for a moment, his expression growing distant. I watched everyone I loved age and die. Kurama's chakra extended my lifespan far beyond a normal human's, but that turned out to be more curse than blessing at first. His eyes met hers. I think you understand that better than most, watching time affect others while you remain. 18 nodded. Though her aging was slowed rather than halted, she'd already noticed subtle changes in Krillin that weren't reflected in her own appearance. I sought transcendence to protect, initially, Naruto continued. But after achieving it, I realized the true power wasn't in fighting enemies, it was in maintaining balance, in connecting different energies and peoples. He smiled slightly. Ironic that I ended up more isolated as a result. Until now, 18 observed. This bond is changing that, isn't it? Yes. His honesty was refreshing. I feel more present than I have in centuries. Connected to something beyond my duty. Before 18 could respond, Vados joined them. The Supreme Kai has agreed to allow the ritual, with some modifications. We can begin preparations immediately. Naruto nodded, his momentary vulnerability replaced by focused determination. We should hurry. I can sense more breaches forming, smaller than before, but more numerous. Kale is changing tactics. They returned to where Supreme Kai and Elder Kai were consulting ancient texts. A space had been cleared in the center of a sacred grove, and servants were bringing crystalline containers filled with what appeared to be pure energy. The essence of creation from the sacred world, Supreme Kai explained. Combined with elements from your dimension, he nodded to Naruto, and the angelic plane, it should create the foundation for your celestial anchor. The preparations took several hours, during which 18 contacted Bulma and Krillin to update them on the situation. The news from Earth wasn't encouraging, minor breaches had appeared globally, each leaking small amounts of void energy that corrupted the surrounding area. Goku, Vegeta, and the other Z fighters were containing the situation for now, but they couldn't be everywhere at once. "Hurry back," Krillin urged, his voice tight with concern. "These things are getting harder to stop." As night fell on the sacred world, they finalized the ritual space, a triangular formation surrounded by containers of energy from 3 dimensions. Naruto had placed the black scroll in the center, now fully unrolled to reveal complex seals that shifted and moved across the parchment as if alive. "Last chance to reconsider," he said solemnly as they took their positions. "The celestial anchor is permanent, once established, it can't be undone without serious consequences." 18 thought briefly of Krillin and Marin. How would this deeper connection affect her relationships with them? But through the existing bond, she already knew the answer. This wasn't about replacing what she had, but adding a new dimension to her existence, one that might help protect everything she cared about. "I'm in," she stated firmly. Vados nodded her agreement. The Grand Priest himself acknowledged the necessity. "My oath as an angel is to maintain cosmic order, this bond serves that purpose." Naruto smiled, that genuine expression that somehow conveyed both ancient wisdom and youthful optimism. "Then let's begin." The ritual started with each of them channeling their core energy into the scroll at the center. Unlike their previous energy sharing, this process was more deliberate, more intimate. They weren't just synchronizing powers but fundamental aspects of their being. The scroll absorbed their combined energy, the seals expanding outward to encompass the entire ritual space. Ancient symbols from Naruto's world merged with celestial script from the angelic realm and, surprisingly, with binary code that represented 18's unique hybrid nature. "The anchor forms in layers," Naruto explained as golden light began spiraling around them. "First, energy resonance, which we've already established." The light pulsed in response, their 3 distinct energy signatures visible as intertwining strands of color. Next, consciousness alignment, deeper than before, but still maintaining individual identity. 18 felt the connection expanding, her awareness of Naruto and Vados growing more comprehensive. Not just memories this time, but thought patterns, emotional responses, fundamental perspectives. She saw the world briefly through Naruto's eyes, everything connected by invisible threads of natural energy, each life a unique flame in an endless tapestry. Through Vados's perception, she glimpsed the ordered cosmos, beautiful mathematical precision underlying apparent chaos, time itself flowing in elegant patterns rather than linear progression. In return, she shared her unique perspective, the precise analytical framework of her enhanced mind combined with the fierce protectiveness and independence of her human heart. The hybrid viewpoint that made her neither fully machine nor fully organic, but something unique and valuable precisely because of that duality. The final layer, Naruto continued, his voice now resonating on multiple levels, is spiritual anchoring. We become fixed points for each other across all dimensions, unable to be fully corrupted as long as the others remain pure. The light intensified, the scroll at the center rising into the air as its seals expanded to encompass them completely. 18 felt something shifting at her core, not changing her essence, but reinforcing it, anchoring it against forces that would seek to unravel her being. Through the deepened bond, she sensed the same happening to Naruto and Vados, their fundamental natures being fortified, connections forming that transcended physical proximity. The ritual reached its climax as the energy from all 3 dimensions flowed into the anchor points, creating a self-sustaining resonance that hummed with power. For a moment, 18 felt as if she existed in all 3 realities simultaneously, the sacred world of the Kais, Naruto's repository, and the ethereal plane where angels originated. Then reality stabilized, the scroll descending gently to the ground as the external light faded. But the internal connection remained, stronger and clearer than before. 18 could sense Naruto and Vados with perfect clarity despite having her eyes closed, could feel their emotions, their energy levels, even their physical location relative to herself. "It worked," she said, opening her eyes to find them looking at her with similar expressions of wonder. "More than worked," Vados noted, her usual composure temporarily set aside. The resonance is at 98.7% synchronization, far beyond what we anticipated. Naruto nodded, examining the scroll which now bore 3 distinct symbols representing each of them. The anchor is stable across all dimensional planes. Kale won't be able to corrupt any of us without breaking the connection first. Which buys us time, 18 concluded. But doesn't solve the main problem, how to seal him away permanently. Actually, Naruto said, studying the scroll more carefully, I think it does. Look at this. He pointed to new symbols that had formed during the ritual, combinations of their 3 distinct writing systems that created entirely new meanings. The scroll adapted to our specific bond, he explained with growing excitement. It's showing us how to create a tridimensional seal, one that exists simultaneously in all 3 of our realities. Vados leaned closer, her eyes widening slightly. Such a construct would be impossible for any single dimension to break. Even the Omni Kings would struggle to undo it. And Kale would be permanently contained, 18 added, quickly grasping the implications. Unable to influence any reality. Their planning was interrupted by a sudden, violent tremor that shook the entire sacred world. Supreme Kai staggered toward them, his face pale. Something's coming through, he shouted. A breach, larger than any we've detected before. They rushed outside to see the sky above the sacred world tearing open, not a small breach like before, but a massive wound in reality itself. Through it, they could see the swirling nothingness of the void, and something moving within it, a presence so vast it defied comprehension. Kale, Naruto said grimly. Not an aspect this time. A direct manifestation. Through their strengthened bond, 18 felt his concern, not fear, but grim recognition. This was what he'd been fighting against for centuries. How? Vados questioned, her staff already in hand. The sacred world should have the strongest dimensional barriers. It does, Naruto confirmed. Which is exactly why he's targeting it. Destroy the strongest point, and the rest collapse more easily. As they watched, something began to emerge from the breach, not a physical form, but a distortion of reality itself, as if existence was being negated in a roughly humanoid shape. Where this non-entity passed, the very concept of matter seemed to struggle. Found you, came the voice, not sound, but the absence of it, creating meaning through contrast. The anchored ones. Supreme Kai and Elder Kai attempted to create a barrier around the sacred world, but their divine energy simply dissipated against the encroaching void. Your plan? 18 asked Naruto, already gathering her energy for battle. We need to complete the tridimensional seal, he replied, clutching the scroll. But it requires simultaneous activation in all 3 dimensions. Impossible under current conditions, Vados noted. We cannot be in 3 places at once. Naruto's expression shifted, determination replacing concern. Not physically, no. But with the anchor in place. He looked between them. We can project aspects of ourselves through the connection. Like your shadow clones? 18 asked. Similar principle, but using the anchor as a conduit. He quickly outlined the technique, each would remain physically present in one dimension while projecting their energy to the other 2, creating the 3 points needed for the seal. I'll stay here, Naruto decided. This manifestation of Kale is the most immediate threat. Vados, you return to the angelic plane, your connection there will be strongest. 18, you go to Earth, your presence in Universe 7's material plane will complete the triangle. The void manifestation continued emerging, reality itself seeming to scream in protest at its presence. They had minutes at most before it fully materialized. How do we activate the projection? 18 asked, practical as always. Through the anchor, Naruto replied. Once you're in position, focus on our connection. The scroll will guide your energy to the other dimensions. Vados nodded. I can transport 18 to Earth instantly, then proceed to the angelic plane. Go, Naruto said. I'll hold Kale here as long as possible. 18 hesitated, feeling his determination through the bond but also the enormous risk he was taking. Acting on impulse, she grabbed the front of his robe and pulled him into a swift, fierce kiss. "Don't die, Whiskers," she said as she pulled away. "We just got this connection working properly." Naruto looked momentarily stunned before grinning. "Wouldn't dream of it." Vados raised an eyebrow but said nothing as she placed a hand on 18's shoulder. Before they teleported away, 18 caught the angel's knowing smile, and realized through their connection that Vados wasn't surprised or bothered, but rather, pleased. Then the sacred world vanished, replaced by the familiar landscape of Capsule Corporation, where a smaller but still dangerous breach was forming in the sky above. "Good luck," Vados said before disappearing toward the angelic plane. "Remember, feel the connection, don't force it." As Bulma and the others rushed toward her with questions, 18 clutched the copy of the seal Naruto had given her and prepared for the most important synchronized attack of her existence. Around her, void corruption spread across the sky, and in the distance, more breaches appeared on the horizon. The final battle against Kale had begun. Chapter 3, Beyond Divinity. The sky above Capsule Corporation ripped apart like cheap fabric. Black tendrils of void energy whipped down, corrupting everything they touched. Trees withered, metal rusted, and concrete crumbled, all accelerated to entropic end states in seconds. 18 clutched the seal paper Naruto had given her, feeling the connection to him and Vados pulse with desperate urgency. On the sacred world of the Kais, Naruto faced Kale's primary manifestation. In the angelic plane, Vados prepared the final component of their tridimensional trap. 18. "What's happening?" Bulma shouted, running toward her with a device beeping frantically in her hands. "These readings are off the charts." "Kale's making his move," 18 replied, scanning the area tactically. "We need to clear the city. Now." Vegeta landed beside them, his armor already damaged from fighting void manifestations across the globe. "Woman, take the children and go. I'll stay with the android." "There's no time to argue," 18 said when Bulma opened her mouth to protest. "This isn't just another battle, Bulma. If we fail, reality itself unravels." Something in 18's voice, or perhaps the uncharacteristic fear in her eyes, convinced Bulma. She nodded sharply, activated her emergency comm system, and began coordinating the evacuation. "You feel different," Vegeta observed, eyeing 18 suspiciously. "Your energy has changed." 18 didn't bother explaining the celestial anchor. "I need to establish a connection point here, exactly where this breach is forming. Can you keep those things off me for 5 minutes?" She pointed to the shadowy figures emerging from the rift, humanoid but wrong, moving with jerky, unnatural motions as if reality itself rejected their existence. Vegeta's lips curled into his battle smile. 5 minutes? I could do this in my sleep." He flashed to Super Saiyan Blue and launched himself toward the void entities, ki blasts clearing a path through their ranks. 18 found a clear spot on the Capsule Corp lawn and knelt, placing the seal paper on the ground. Through the anchor bond, she felt Naruto and Vados doing the same in their respective dimensions. "Ready?" Naruto's voice came through their connection, not as sound but as direct thought. "The angelic nexus is aligned," Vados responded. "Initiating on your mark." 18 pressed her palm to the seal paper. "Earth point ready. Let's end this." She closed her eyes, focusing on their connection. The celestial anchor hummed with power as she directed her energy not just outward into the seal but across dimensions. She felt her consciousness split, part remaining on Earth while aspects projected to the sacred world and the angelic plane. In 3 places simultaneously, she existed. Through the bond, she experienced the same from Naruto and Vados, their energies manifesting beside her on Earth while their consciousnesses maintained the connection points in their own dimensions. On the sacred world, her energy projection stood beside Naruto as he faced Kale's primary manifestation, a towering absence of reality that bent space around it. In the angelic realm, her essence joined Vados amid crystalline structures that defied mortal comprehension. And on Earth, spectral forms of Naruto and Vados materialized beside her, their energies connecting to complete the triangle. Now, they called in unison across 3 dimensions. The seal papers at each location erupted with light, gold, blue, and purple intertwining in complex patterns. The energy flowed between dimensions, creating a lattice of power that began to encircle each breach. Through their shared awareness, 18 felt Kale's reaction, first confusion, then understanding, then rage. The void entity fought against the forming seal, sending tendrils of non-existence to disrupt the connection points. On Earth, the spectral Naruto blocked void tendrils while 18 maintained the seal. In the sacred world, her energy projection did the same for the physical Naruto. And in the angelic plane, both their projections defended Vados. He's fighting the convergence, Vados warned. The dimensional barriers are buckling under the strain. Push harder, Naruto urged. Our connection is stronger than his disruption. 18 poured more of herself into the bond, drawing on reserve she hadn't known she possessed. Her modified body had always given her seemingly limitless stamina, but this was different, this was drawing on something deeper than physical energy. The seal expanded in all 3 dimensions, creating a cage of light around each breach. Where the energies touched void corruption, they didn't just block it but converted it, transforming entropy back into ordered energy. It's working. 18 felt Naruto's exhilaration through their bond. Then something changed. Kale's resistance shifted from brute force to targeted precision. Instead of attacking the seals directly, the void entity focused on the anchor points themselves, specifically, on the connections between them. He's targeting our bond, Vados realized. Attempting to sever the anchor. 18 felt it, cold emptiness seeping into the warm connection, trying to create distance where there had been intimacy. Doubt began to form at the edges of her consciousness. Was this bond real? Or just a tactical necessity? What would happen when the crisis ended? Similar uncertainties flickered through Naruto and Vados. She could feel their struggles mirroring her own as Kale exploited the most human aspects of their connection. He's using our own fears against us, Naruto realized. The fear of abandonment, of being alone even when connected. 18 understood immediately. It was her oldest fear, that connections were temporary, that she would outlive those she loved, that her modified existence meant permanent isolation. She felt the same fear in Naruto, who had watched generations pass while he remained. And surprisingly, in Vados, the angel who had observed countless civilizations rise and fall, always separate, always watching but never truly part of what she observed. Kale had found their common vulnerability. On Earth, the void entities pressed closer, overwhelming even Vegeta's tremendous power. The breach widened despite the seal's attempt to close it. 18. Krillin's voice cut through her concentration as he landed nearby, having joined the battle. His GI was torn, blood trickling from a cut on his forehead. Whatever you're doing, hurry. We can't hold them much longer. She opened her eyes briefly, seeing her husband fighting desperately to protect her while maintaining the seal. Through their bond, she sensed Naruto and Vados facing similar pressures in their dimensions. They were losing. We need to go deeper, Vados suggested, her mental voice calm despite the crisis. Beyond energy synchronization, beyond consciousness alignment. The final layer, Naruto agreed. Not just anchoring each other, but trusting completely, 18 finished, understanding without words. No reservations, no doubts. In 3 dimensions, they made the same decision simultaneously. Instead of fighting Kale's attempt to exploit their fears, they opened themselves fully, embracing not just the connection but the vulnerability that came with it. 18 let go of her fear of abandonment, showing Naruto and Vados the full depth of her attachment to them, not just alliance or friendship, but something new and undefined yet powerfully real. She felt them do the same, Naruto's boundless capacity for connection flowing into her alongside Vados' eternal, patient devotion. The bond transformed, transcending its original purpose. What had been created as a tactical advantage became something Kale couldn't comprehend, genuine connection that existed for its own sake, not as a means to an end. The void entity recoiled from this new resonance. In all three dimensions, the seals flared with renewed power, their light changing from separate colors to a single harmonized radiance that defied classification. Now, Naruto called. Complete the seal. Together, they channeled this transformed energy into the tridimensional construct. The seals expanded explosively, enveloping each breach completely before contracting with irresistible force. Kale fought desperately, void tendrils lashing against the closing cage. This cannot be. Existence is temporary. Void is eternal. Maybe so, Naruto responded, but connection transcends both. The seals contracted to singularities in all three dimensions, compressing Kale's manifestation back into the space between realities. But unlike before, this containment wasn't just a barrier, it was a conversion matrix that fundamentally altered the void energy's frequency, making it compatible with existence rather than opposed to it. What have you done? Kale's voice faded as the compression completed. I am. The final word came through not as rage or defeat, but as something closer to wonder, changing. The breaches collapsed with a sound like reality sighing in relief. The void entities dissolved, leaving behind not destruction but tiny motes of balanced energy that drifted upward like luminescent snow before fading. 18 slumped forward, physically and mentally exhausted. The spectral forms of Naruto and Vados remained beside her for a moment longer, solid enough that she felt their hands on her shoulders, supporting her. Rest, Naruto's voice came through the bond, tired but triumphant. It's done. We will come to you soon, Vados added. The anchor holds. Their projections faded as the emergency need for the connection passed, but the bond remained, warm, steady, and now unquestionably permanent. Krillin reached her first, kneeling beside her with concern etched on his face. 18. Are you okay? What happened? We won, she said simply, too drained to explain further. Vegeta landed nearby, powering down from his divine form. He studied the clear sky with suspicious eyes. It's really gone. The void entity? Not gone, 18 corrected, struggling to her feet with Krillin's help. Contained. Transformed. Humph, good enough. Vegeta crossed his arms. That sage from another dimension, he's stronger than he appears. 18 smiled faintly. You have no idea. As the defenders of Earth gathered around her, asking questions she was too exhausted to answer, 18 focused on the anchor bond. Naruto and Vados were coming. Whatever had formed between them during that final moment, whatever they had become to each other, would soon need to be addressed. But for now, she simply savored the victory and the warmth of a connection that had transcended its original purpose. 3 days later, 18 sat on the porch of Kame House, watching Marin build sand castles at the water's edge. The aftermath of Kale's attack had been surprisingly minimal, the void corruption reversing itself once the entity was contained. Life resumed its normal patterns with the resilience that still amazed 18, even after years of witnessing how quickly humans adapted to the extraordinary. She sensed Naruto's arrival before seeing him, the gentle ripple of reality that accompanied his dimensional transitions now familiar through their bond. She didn't turn as he sat beside her on the steps. Nice place, he said, his divine appearance dimmed to something more casual, jeans and an orange t-shirt that made him look almost human. Peaceful. Usually, she agreed. When cosmic entities aren't trying to unmake reality. Naruto chuckled. Fair point. They sat in comfortable silence, watching Marin play. Through their connection, words weren't strictly necessary, 18 could feel his contentment at simply being near her, mixed with uncertainty about what came next. Vados is finishing the formal report to the Grand Priest, he finally said. The Omni Kings are surprisingly pleased with the outcome. Apparently, they found our solution interesting. Great. Cosmic children entertained by our near-death experience. 18's dry tone made Naruto laugh. The good news is, the seal is holding perfectly. Better than we anticipated, actually. He turned to face her directly. Kale isn't just contained, he's transforming. The void energy is becoming something new, a stabilizing force rather than a destructive one. And the bad news? Naruto's expression grew more serious. The celestial anchor is permanent. More permanent than even I realized. It doesn't just connect our energies or consciousness, it's linked aspects of our very existence. 18 had suspected as much. Since the final battle, she'd noticed subtle changes, occasional flashes of perception that weren't hers, dreams of places she'd never visited, intuitive understanding of concepts she'd never studied. So we're stuck with each other, she said, keeping her tone neutral despite the complex emotions swirling beneath the surface. That's one way to put it. Naruto smiled slightly. Though, stuck, implies something unwanted. 18 raised an eyebrow. Is it? Wanted, I mean. You're an interdimensional god with responsibilities to your own universe. Vados is an angel bound to cosmic duty. And I'm. She gestured toward Marin. I have a life here. A family. All true, Naruto acknowledged. Which is why I came to discuss possibilities, not to make assumptions. Before he could continue, reality shifted again as Vados appeared before them, her staff materializing in her hand. Unlike Naruto, she hadn't altered her appearance, still radiating celestial perfection in her angelic attire. The Grand Priest sends his regards, she announced without preamble. And his congratulations on a solution of elegant necessity, as he put it. Did you tell him about the anchor's evolution? Naruto asked. I did. Vados took a seat on 18's other side, completing their triangle. His response was surprising. He believes the connection was not accidental but perhaps inevitable, a natural convergence of complementary forces. Cosmic destiny. 18 scoffed. I don't buy it. Not destiny, Vados corrected. Harmony. Like seeks like across the multiverse, even when like means uniquely different. 18 looked between them, feeling the unspoken question hanging in the air. So what now? We all just go back to our separate lives with this bond connecting us forever? Pop in for interdimensional visits on holidays? Naruto rubbed the back of his neck, a gesture 18 now recognized as a habit from his youth. Actually, I've been thinking about that. The ultra-divine sage doesn't necessarily have to remain in one dimension all the time. And the Grand Priest has authorized me to serve as a dimensional liaison, Vados added. A role that would allow me significant autonomy in my movements between universes. 18 studied them both carefully. You've been planning this. Both of you. They had the grace to look slightly embarrassed, though she could feel their sincerity through the bond. Not planning exactly, Naruto clarified. Hoping. The anchor connection makes separation uncomfortable, Vados admitted. Not physically, but. She trailed off, uncharacteristically uncertain. Emotionally, 18 finished for her. She'd felt it too, a constant awareness of their absence, like background noise that couldn't be fully ignored. There's no precedent for this situation, Naruto said. 3 beings from different dimensional planes, permanently connected beyond what any of us anticipated. We're making this up as we go. 18 looked toward Marin again, thinking of Krillin inside the house, of the life she'd built here. It's not just about us. I have commitments. We know, Vados said softly. And we would never ask you to abandon them. But perhaps, Naruto suggested carefully, there's a way to honor all connections without sacrificing any. 18 turned back to them, curious despite her reservations. What did you have in mind? Naruto shared his proposal, a balanced arrangement where each maintained their primary responsibilities while creating space for their unique bond. He would divide his time between his duties as ultra-divine sage and regular visits to Universe 7. Vados would incorporate dimensional monitoring into her angelic responsibilities, creating legitimate reasons to maintain contact. And 18 would remain with her family on Earth, but with the understanding that the anchor connection was now part of who she was, a connection her husband would need to accept, even if he couldn't fully understand it. It's not perfect, Naruto admitted when he finished outlining the idea. But it acknowledges reality instead of fighting it. The three of us are connected now in ways that transcend conventional relationships. It would require explanation to your husband, Vados noted. An uncomfortable conversation, perhaps. 18 almost laughed at the understatement. How exactly did one explain to their spouse that they'd formed a permanent metaphysical bond with two beings from other dimensions? A bond that wasn't exactly romantic but wasn't exactly not romantic either. Krillin deserves honesty, she said finally. He won't like it, but he'll understand. He's better at accepting the impossible than most people. Through their connection, she felt their relief, not just at her tentative acceptance of the arrangement, but at her commitment to transparency with her husband. There's something else you should know, Naruto added. The Grand Priest mentioned potential side effects of the anchor connection as it continues to evolve. What kind of side effects? 18 asked warily. Energy transference beyond what we've experienced so far, Vados explained. Shared abilities, resonant power growth, possibly even limited physiological adaptations. Meaning? Meaning you might eventually be able to use chakra, Naruto said. I might develop better control over ki. Vados might experience emotions more intensely than angels typically do. She already does, 18 pointed out, feeling Vados's mixture of embarrassment and acknowledgement through their bond. The changes have begun, the angel admitted. Though whether they're evolutionary advantages or compromising vulnerabilities remains to be seen. Either way, Naruto continued, we'll navigate it together. The connection doesn't have to define us, but it is part of us now, for better or worse. 18 considered everything they'd said, everything she felt through their bond, and everything she owed to her existing family. It was messy, complicated, and utterly unprecedented, exactly the kind of situation that had defined her life since being activated as an android. I need to talk to Krillin, she said finally. Alone. Then we can discuss details. They both nodded, respecting her need for space despite the constant awareness they now shared. Naruto stood first, offering her a small smile. We'll wait for your call, he said. However long it takes. Vados rose gracefully beside him. The anchor ensures we remain connected regardless of physical proximity. There is no rush to formalize arrangements. As they prepared to leave, 18 caught both their wrists, stopping them. Just so we're clear, this thing between us. It's not just the anchor, is it? The question hung in the air, loaded with implications none of them had directly addressed despite the intimacy they'd shared during the final battle against Kale. Naruto's eyes met hers, galaxy depths momentarily visible beneath the human blue. No. The anchor amplified what was already forming, but didn't create it. Precisely, Vados agreed, her usual composure softening. The resonance found compatibility where it already existed, however unlikely the combination. 18 released their wrists with a short nod. Good. I don't do cosmic arranged marriages. That startled a laugh from Naruto while Vados's lips curved in a small smile. Through the bond, 18 felt their affection, different in nature from each but equally genuine. We'll be in touch, she said as they prepared to depart. Try not to break reality while I'm sorting things out here. No promises, Naruto replied with a grin before stepping backward into a dimensional rift that opened behind him. Vados inclined her head slightly, her staff tapping once against the ground. Until next time, Android 18. She vanished in a column of light, leaving 18 alone on the porch. Well, physically alone. The constant warmth of their connection remained, a reminder that whatever happened next, isolation was something she would never experience again. Whether that was blessing or curse remained to be seen. Krillin took the news better than 18 had expected, though not without difficulty. They sat on the beach at sunset, Marin already asleep inside, as 18 explained everything, the celestial anchor, the permanent nature of the bond, and the complicated feelings that had developed alongside it. When she finished, he stared out at the ocean for a long time before speaking. "So you're connected to them forever," he summarized. "Not just energy-wise, but everything-wise." "Yes. And you have feelings for them?" "Both of them." 18 didn't flinch from the direct question. "Yes. Different from what I feel for you, but real." Krillin nodded slowly, processing. "You know, when I wished for you to be human again and you told me not to, that you liked being who you are, I thought that was the most complicated our relationship would ever get." He laughed quietly. "Shows what I know." "I'm still me," 18 said, reaching for his hand. "Still your wife. Still Marin's mother. The connection doesn't change that. Doesn't it, though?" Krillin looked up at her, his expression serious but not angry. "You said yourself you can feel them all the time. Know what they're feeling, sometimes even thinking. That changes a person." 18. She couldn't deny it. Already, she could feel herself adapting to the constant awareness, her perceptions expanding beyond normal parameters. "It changes me," she acknowledged. "But it doesn't change us unless we let it." Krillin squeezed her hand. "I've spent my life accepting that you're extraordinary, 18. That you exist in ways I can't fully comprehend. From the day I deactivated your self-destruct bomb instead of using it, I chose to love you as you are, not as I wished you would be." His words touched her deeply, reminding her why she'd fallen in love with this unassuming man whose strength had never been primarily physical. "This is just one more way you're extraordinary," he continued. "And I won't pretend to understand it completely, or that it doesn't scare me a little. But I made a choice long ago to stand beside you through whatever came next." His smile was small but genuine. Even if what came next turned out to be a divine sage and an angel. 18 felt tension she hadn't realized she was carrying release from her shoulders. "So you're okay with this arrangement? With them being part of our lives?" "I didn't say it would be easy," Krillin clarified. "There will be jealousy, confusion, probably some awkward dinners. But yes, I can accept it, because it's part of who you are now, and I accept all of you." She kissed him then, pouring gratitude into the gesture. Through the anchor bond, she felt momentary awareness from Naruto and Vados, not intrusive, but present, like hearing a conversation in another room. They respectfully withdrew their attention, giving her this private moment. "So," Krillin said when they separated, his attempt at a casual tone not quite hiding his nervousness, "when do I get to properly meet your dimensional partners? Under less apocalyptic circumstances, I mean." "Soon," 18 promised. "And thank you, Krillin. For understanding. For always understanding." He smiled, the last light of sunset reflecting in his eyes. "That's my superpower, remember? While you guys save multiple dimensions, I'll be over here, just trying to understand the impossible." 1 month later, Capsule Corporation hosted what Bulma insisted on calling an interdimensional relations summit, though it was really just dinner for a very unusual group. The enormous dining room accommodated everyone comfortably, Bulma and Vegeta, Krillin and 18 with Marin, Whis, Vados, Beerus, who came for the food, Kampa, who came to compete with Beerus, and Naruto, who brought gifts from his dimension, specially prepared chakra-infused foods that even the gods of destruction declared acceptable. The conversation flowed more easily than 18 had anticipated. Naruto's natural charisma bridged cultural gaps, Vados's formal manners pleased Bulma's sense of occasion, and the shared experiences of world-threatening catastrophes gave everyone common ground. "So let me get this straight," Krillin said, gesturing with his chopsticks, "in your world, you were essentially a ninja with a fox spirit sealed inside you, who became a village leader, then a god, than whatever an ultra-divine sage is? Naruto grinned. That's the condensed version, yeah. And you're how old exactly? Bulma asked. Physically or chronologically? Naruto scratched his cheek. I stopped aging normally around 30, but I've been around 4. He calculated briefly. About 4 centuries, give or take a decade. Beerus snorted. Infant. Says the cat who sleeps through most of existence, Kampa countered, reaching for another plate. Vegeta, who had been silently assessing Naruto throughout the meal, finally spoke directly to him. You held back during the Void Entity battle. Why? The table quieted, everyone turning toward Naruto with interest. 18 felt his momentary discomfort through their bond, not at being questioned, but at having to explain concepts of power that often led to misunderstanding. Power isn't just about destructive capacity, Naruto explained carefully. The ultra-divine sage role focuses on balance and connection, not domination. Could I destroy a planet? Yes. But that's not the point of what I am. Humph. Vegeta's expression remained skeptical. Sounds like excuses. It's really not, 18 interjected, surprising everyone. I've felt what he can do through our connection. Trust me, Vegeta, you don't want to push for a demonstration. The Saiyan Prince studied her with narrowed eyes before giving a short nod of acceptance. Coming from Vegeta, it was practically a welcoming embrace. As dinner continued, 18 observed the unusual gathering with a sense of surrealism. Through the anchor bond, she felt Naruto and Vados having similar thoughts, amazement at how quickly the extraordinary could become merely unusual, how flexible reality proved when faced with determined adaptation. After the meal, they moved to the garden terrace where Bulma had arranged comfortable seating beneath the stars. Marin, fascinated by Naruto since learning he could create shadow clones for unlimited playmates, convinced him to demonstrate some basic chakra techniques. This is a simple transformation, he explained as the little girl watched wide-eyed. With a hand sign and puff of smoke, he transformed into a perfect copy of Krillin, then Bulma, then Marin herself. Do me next. Marin giggled, clapping her hands. 18 watched from nearby, feeling contentment radiating from Naruto through their bond. Children had always been his weakness, or his strength, depending on perspective. His affinity for Marin had developed instantly, his natural warmth winning over her daughter immediately. Vados joined her, observing the scene with uncharacteristic softness in her expression. Your daughter is remarkably adaptable. A quality she clearly inherits from you. She's had practice with the unusual, 18 replied. Comes with the territory when your godfather can turn his hair blue by shouting. The angel's lips curved slightly. Indeed. Though perhaps more remarkable is how you've adapted to our unique situation. 18 glanced toward Krillin, who was talking comfortably with Whis and Bulma. We're making it work. Day by day. Through their bond, she felt Vados's genuine admiration, something the angel rarely expressed so openly. The capacity of mortals to adapt never ceases to fascinate me. In all my millennia of observation, it remains your most defining quality. What about you? 18 asked. Angels aren't exactly known for flexibility. This arrangement can't be in any celestial handbook. No, Vados admitted. Though the Grand Priest's acceptance has silenced any potential criticism from my siblings. She paused, twirling her staff absently. I find myself changing in ways I hadn't anticipated. Experiencing more. 18 understood without further explanation. Through their connection, she'd felt Vados's emotional range expanding, the angel experiencing sensations and attachments that had previously been theoretical concepts she observed in mortals. Is that a good thing? 18 asked. It's an interesting thing, Vados replied with characteristic understatement. And after countless eons of existence, interesting, holds tremendous value. Their conversation was interrupted as Naruto joined them, having created enough shadow clones to keep Marin and the other children entertained. Successful diplomacy, he said with a smile. Win over the kids, and the adults follow. Ancient ninja wisdom? 18 asked dryly. Nope. Just something my old teacher used to say. Naruto's expression turned contemplative as he looked over the gathering. It's strange, seeing our worlds overlap like this. Good strange, but still strange. Through their bond, 18 felt the complex emotions beneath his casual words, satisfaction at seeing his two realities peacefully coexisting, lingering sadness for the friends from his past who couldn't be there, hope for what this new connection might bring. The barriers between dimensions will never be quite as rigid again, Vados observed. Our anchor has created a permanent bridge, however small. Is that a problem? 18 asked. From a cosmic regulation standpoint, I mean. The Grand Priest believes it may have been inevitable, Vados replied. Dimensions naturally seek balance through connection, just as the void seeks dissolution through isolation. Our bond represents the former principle asserting itself. In other words, Naruto translated with a grin, even the multiverse ships us. 18 nearly choked on her drink while Vados looked momentarily confused before understanding dawned. Your terminology is imprecise but not entirely inaccurate, the angel conceded with dignity that only made Naruto's grin widen. As the evening progressed, 18 found herself increasingly aware of how naturally they had fallen into their new dynamic, Naruto's warmth complementing Vados' precision, both balanced by 18's practical directness. Through their anchor bond, adjustments happened automatically, each responding to the other's needs almost instinctively. When it came time for goodbyes, the various groups separated with promises of future meetings. The gods of destruction departed with their respective angels, Whis practically dragging a still-eating Beerus, while Naruto remained behind, having arranged to stay in Bulma's interdimensional guest suite, a room specifically designed to accommodate visitors from other realities. 18 and Krillin prepared to leave with a sleepy Marin, who insisted on a goodbye hug from her new favorite playmate. Naruto knelt to the child's level, returning her embrace with genuine affection. Will you come visit us at Kame House? Marin asked. You can show me how to walk on water like you promised. Absolutely, Naruto assured her. As soon as your mom says it's okay. Marin looked up at 18 expectantly. Mom. We'll arrange something, 18 promised, feeling Krillin's accepting smile beside her. Through their anchor bond, she sensed Naruto's delight at being welcomed into this aspect of her life. As they said their goodbyes, Vados returned briefly, ostensibly to retrieve a ceremonial gift she had brought, but 18 felt the angel's reluctance to end the evening without a proper farewell to them both. Until next time, Vados said formally, though the warmth in her eyes belied her tone. Don't be a stranger, Krillin replied with surprising ease. Our door's always open. Well, except when 18 gets mad and kicks everyone out to train alone. Then all bets are off. 18 rolled her eyes, but the moment of normal family humor seemed to please Vados, whose rigid formality softened visibly. Through their connection, 18 felt the angel's genuine appreciation for Krillin's acceptance, and her determination to respect the boundaries of 18's marriage even while nurturing their unique bond. As they flew home across the dark ocean, Marin asleep in Krillin's arms, 18 felt a profound contentment that extended beyond her immediate family. The anchor connection hummed steadily in her awareness, Naruto settling into his temporary quarters at Capsule Corp, Vados returning to her duties with Kampa, both maintaining respectful distance while remaining fundamentally connected. They're good people, Krillin said suddenly, breaking the comfortable silence. Well, people might not be the right word, but you know what I mean. 18 glanced at him, reading the sincerity in his expression. They are. This whole situation is still weird, he continued with his characteristic honesty. But weird stopped being a deal-breaker in our lives a long time ago. 18 flew closer, pressing a kiss to his cheek. Thank you. For understanding. For trying, at least. Hey, I'm just glad the all-powerful beings who've permanently bonded with my wife turned out to be decent folks. His smile was genuine despite the lingering insecurity she could still sense beneath it. Plus, free babysitting from someone who can literally make copies of himself. That's a win. 18 laughed softly, appreciating his attempt at humor. As Kane House appeared on the horizon, she felt a gentle pulse through the anchor bond, Naruto and Vados simultaneously sending waves of respectful affection, as if sensing her return home. She sent a pulse of acknowledgement in return, not goodbye, but until later. The arrangement was unprecedented, complex, and would undoubtedly face challenges as it evolved. But for beings who had faced the void itself and emerged stronger through connection, conventional relationships seemed unnecessarily limiting. They were creating something new, a balance between worlds, between relationships, between duties and desires. And for the former Android 18, who had spent her existence defying categories and expectations, it felt surprisingly right. 6 months later, 18 stood on an impossible cliff edge, watching 3 suns set simultaneously over a violet ocean. The sacred world of the Kais had been restored to its former glory after Kale's attack, its natural beauty enhanced by the new energy patterns that had formed during the sealing. Naruto and Vados flanked her, the 3 of them comfortable in silence as they observed the spectacular display. Through their anchor bond, words were unnecessary, each feeling the other's appreciation for this moment of peace after months of establishing their new normal. The arrangement they'd developed had settled into a sustainable rhythm. Naruto divided his time between his duties as Ultra-Divine Sage and regular visits to Universe 7, where he had become an unofficial advisor to both the Z Fighters and the Supreme Kai. Vados continued serving as Kampa's attendant while expanding her role to include dimensional monitoring, a position that allowed her legitimate reasons to maintain contact across realities. And 18 remained centered on Earth with her family, but with regular, diplomatic missions that brought her into contact with her dimensional partners. The Z Fighters had adapted to the arrangement with their usual flexibility, after all, a 3-way bond between an android, an interdimensional sage, and an angel barely registered on their weirdness scale after everything else they'd experienced. The seal continues to evolve, Vados noted, breaking the comfortable silence. The void energy is stabilizing into something new, neither existence nor non-existence, but a boundary state that maintains separation without isolation. Kale's consciousness remains intact within it, Naruto added. But transformed. The hunger for dissolution has become a capacity for containment. 18 processed this information with her usual practicality. So our enemy became the solution. Poetic. More like pragmatic, Naruto corrected with a smile. The void was never meant to be destroyed, only balanced. Their conversation was interrupted by a soft chime from Vados' staff. She checked it with a slight frown. Kampa requires my presence. Apparently, Universe's excess food supplies are inadequately diverse again. 18 smirked. Code 4, he's jealous of what Beerus got to eat last week, right? Precisely. Vados sighed with fond exasperation. Gods of destruction can be remarkably childish for beings of their cosmic standing. Naruto chuckled. Go handle your divine toddler. We'll finish up here. Before leaving, Vados hesitated, then did something uncharacteristically spontaneous. She leaned forward and placed a light kiss on 18's cheek, then Naruto's. Through their bond, they felt her affection clearly despite her composed exterior. Until tomorrow, she said before vanishing in a column of light. 18 touched her cheek, still feeling the cool tingle of angelic contact. She's getting better at expressing herself. The anchor effect, Naruto nodded. We're all picking up traits from each other. I've noticed my energy control becoming more precise, more like your mechanical efficiency. And I've started sensing natural energy patterns, 18 acknowledged. Not quite chakra, but something similar. They walked along the cliff edge, enjoying the last light of the triple sunset. Their relationship had evolved alongside the anchor bond, deepening into something that defied conventional definition but felt increasingly natural. Physical intimacy had developed gradually, respectful of 18's marriage and Vados' angelic nature. What had begun as energy resonance expanded into moments of connection that transcended traditional boundaries, sometimes all three together, sometimes in pairs, always with full awareness and consent through their bond. Krillin had adapted with remarkable grace, establishing his own friendship with Naruto while maintaining appropriate distance from the aspects of their bond he couldn't share. The arrangement wasn't perfect, but it worked, each relationship honored for what it was rather than limited by what it wasn't. "I have something to show you," Naruto said as they reached a secluded grotto overlooking the ocean. He formed a series of hand signs, and the air before them shimmered. A small dimensional window opened, not a full portal, but a viewing aperture that revealed a scene from Naruto's home dimension. 18 saw a massive tree similar to the repository, but smaller, younger. Around it, people worked harmoniously, integrating structure and nature in the distinctive style she recognized from their previous visit. "What am I looking at?" she asked. "The future," Naruto replied. "I've been working with my people to create a new type of dimensional nexus, one specifically designed to accommodate our anchor bond." 18 studied the construction with growing understanding. "A meeting place. Somewhere between all our worlds." "More than that," Naruto explained, his expression brightening with enthusiasm. "A true junction point where all three dimensions overlap naturally. No need for portals or projections, just direct access regardless of our native realms." The implications were significant. Such a nexus would allow them to interact without dimensional strain, to exist together without compromising their separate responsibilities. "The Grand Priest has approved the concept," Naruto continued. "With some modifications to ensure dimensional stability. Vados has been helping coordinate the celestial aspects." "And you're just telling me now?" 18 raised an eyebrow. Naruto rubbed the back of his neck sheepishly. "We wanted to be sure it was viable before getting your hopes up. Plus, you've been busy with that tournament Bulma organized." 18 couldn't argue with that logic. The past few months had been hectic for all of them, balancing their individual duties with their shared connection. "How long until it's ready?" she asked, already thinking of practical applications. "A few more months. Time flows differently between dimensions, so it's hard to be exact." Naruto closed the viewing window with another hand sign. "But when it's complete, we'll have a place that belongs to all three of us equally." The concept appealed to 18 on multiple levels: practical, emotional, and symbolic. A physical manifestation of their unique bond, neither here nor there but something new entirely. "I like it," she said simply. Through their connection, Naruto felt the depth of her approval beyond the understated words. They continued walking as darkness fell, twin moons rising to illuminate the landscape in silver blue light. The sacred world was quiet except for the gentle sounds of nature, so different from the chaos that had engulfed it during Kale's attack. "Do you ever regret it?" 18 asked suddenly. "The anchor bond? Getting tied to two people from entirely different dimensions when you already had responsibility for an entire universe?" Naruto considered her question seriously, as she knew he would. "I've had many connections throughout my long life," he said finally. "Friends, students, comrades who became family. I watched most of them age and die while I remained. Eventually, I stopped forming close bonds altogether, it hurt too much to lose them." He looked up at the alien stars overhead. "The isolation of godhood wasn't something I anticipated when I sought transcendence. I thought power would help me protect everyone, but instead, it separated me from them." His gaze returned to 18, his eyes briefly shifting to their galaxy-filled divine state. "Then I met you and Vados, both immortal in your own ways, both understanding the burden of existing outside normal parameters. For the first time in centuries, I found connections that wouldn't inevitably end in loss." Through their bond, 18 felt the absolute truth of his words, the loneliness he had endured, the unexpected joy he had found in their unlikely trio. "So no," he concluded with a smile that reminded her of his human origins despite his divine power. "No regrets?" "Not a single one." 18 nodded, satisfied with his answer because she could feel its authenticity. Good. Because you're stuck with us now, Whiskers. Interdimensional cosmic bond and all. Naruto laughed, the sound echoing across the sacred landscape. Through their connection, they felt Vados' distant amusement as she caught the exchange despite being galaxies away. As they prepared to return to Earth, 18 took one last look at the alien landscape, one of many dimensions she now moved between with growing familiarity. Her life had expanded beyond anything she could have imagined when she was first activated, beyond even what she had come to expect as a defender of Earth. The anchor bond hummed steadily in her awareness, Naruto beside her, Vados distant but present, both connected to her core in ways that defied conventional understanding. Together, they had faced the void and transformed it. Together, they had created something entirely new. And while the multiverse continued its endless cycles of creation and entropy, three uniquely different beings had found balance in connection, a harmony that transcended dimensions and defied cosmic categorization. Not bad for a modified human who had once been programmed simply to destroy. The end. Thank you for watching this video. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video.